Anyways, what's up?
What's up?
Brothers. Thank you. Yeah, now Diablo, the way they monetize that stuff, at first I was excited. And then I saw like their premium pass or whatever they were doing. And they're like, oh yeah, armor for your horse. And it's all going to be cosmetics and all this and that. And I was like, and the base game's like $70. I'm like, no, I think I'm good. I was going to ask you about it too, because I know you like Diablo, but
Diablo 2.
Diablo 2.
I have not touched 4
Or
at all.
3 or 4.
Well, you did. No, you did
I played
play
a little
3.
3, yeah.
You played 3.
Yeah, when they
I
had
played
the-
a little bit of 3 as well.
What'd you think of it?
Well,
Oh,
for me
Salucci.
at least. Oh,
Thank you, boys.
thank you.
Hanging out.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Thanks for having us over.
So for me at least, because I didn't have as much time playing Diablo, I also was, I guess, probably playing like the trash character, because I
Which
was
one's
the
that one?
witch doctor,
Oh, God.
and I got stuck in like chapter 3 or something, where like I just, I didn't have enough skill ups, and I was trying to do it solo, so it was just really hard. I just kept getting owned.
Yeah, I remember like Witch Doctor was like throw jars of bugs at him and poison.
Yeah.
Was it like jars of spiders or something like that?
Didn't even open the game.
That's right.
You didn't play Diablo 3? I thought you played Diablo 3.
Oh, I thought we were talking about 4.
No,
3.
3.
Oh, well, I didn't play the Witch Doctor. I played the Sorceress. I just literally looked up whatever auto build was the best build. It was like Fireball or something at the time. Or Meteor.
You didn't play Sorcerer as a guy?
Was it?
No.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was Sorceress, right?
Yeah, I think so.
But
Yeah, I don't know if you can change the genders. Can you?
I'm not sure, especially not like you're not gonna change into a man after you're already a woman, because they're OP right now.
On Diablo 4, you
Yeah,
can.
they're just OP.
Can you?
I was going to roll up a druid, right? And then like Mikhail started going through the create a character, and we almost got done. And I was like, all right, well, let's go back to the body type, because I want to be like a buff druid. Like, no, you can only be fat. I'm like, what?
What?
Yeah, you're gonna be like body positivity druid. I'm like,
Huh.
you're telling me
Is
I'm a
that
druid
really-
that could change my shape
Yeah.
to anything,
Any animal.
any.
Yeah, that's the thing. You can be a skinny animal. You don't gotta be a fat one.
Like, yeah, can I just be a healthy druid, like a buff druid? Like, no, you gotta be
There's no
chubby
buff
one.
druid.
I look like that dude from Blow, the sidekick, the big dude,
yeah.
Ethan, whatever his name is.
Oh, yeah. What is his name?
I forgot, but that's what my character looked like, and I was just like, I think I'm good.
No.
I think I'm good. I'm not gonna play freaking Diablo.
It doesn't even make any sense either.
Like the flavor wise as a druid,
No, I mean, the word body positivity,
I don't know.
positivity, and then it's like you're fat. It's
You
not
can't say-
necessarily
well, I mean-
positive.
Well, when we talked about how like there's no fat packs in Magic,
Yeah.
because that changed, and because I guess people got upset or something. I don't know. I mean, they were around when I was a kid, and I don't.
So recently they got rid of the word tribal.
Really?
Yeah. It's gonna be removed from cards
Why? What's the reason?
because it's disrespectful to indigenous people
Says who?
because they're tribes. So when you say the word tribal, it's
Really?
somehow affecting them. Which
They don't even play Magic.
I know.
all right, that's
Do they?
not true.
I don't think
Like,
so.
come on, man. They don't even own clothes. They're gonna tell me what to play on cards. Like, the fuck out of here.
That's true. Yeah, like,
There are people from those communities that exist in civilization.
They barely have.
but you think they're progressive like
freaking
that?
Levi's
no,
jeans.
no. But you know who is other people.
The own
People that work for
the
Wizards
social
or the
justice.
Twitter people, they're just some other community that they're not a part of feels offended for them, right?
Why?
So they're like,
Who cares about those people or Karens or whatever the hell
We
they
don't
are?
know.
apparently there's a lot of those people that work. At
So actually, this brings a pretty interesting topic. The Washington Commanders changed their name to Commanders because they used to be the Washington Redskins.
That's
then-
right.
And then some Karen out there thought that was racist, so they changed it to Commanders. Well, the people from the Native American communities actually went and wrote like a whole petition to change the name of the Washington Commanders back to the Redskins.
Really?
Yes, because they were thinking that, there was one of the teams that represented like their culture, and the fact that somebody else got offended for them and deleted them out of them being represented in like
An NFL
American
franchise.
culture.
Yeah, American culture,
then
yeah.
it felt like they were just trying to delete history, and then they made a whole petition. You know, they wrote a really nice essay explaining how, you know, we're not offended. We're actually very honored that you're using the Redskin name as, you know, something to actually honor us instead of just putting us back into,
But
you know, into
that's another thing
history.
too, because it's like, what about like the Atlanta Braves, the baseball team, or the what's another? Jesus Christ, Atlanta Braves. And there's another one.
They had,
But yeah,
another
it's like
one,
it's like what about like you're gonna change everybody now just because?
It's the same thing. Like, if you want to be offended by pirates, you're like, well, I don't like pirates. I like ninjas. I've always liked Naruto. Like, can you please like stop offending me with this pirate shit?
Can you
It's like
imagine?
you can't like.
And they don't even play
Everybody
sports.
can be offended by anything.
Yeah.
You know, what if I'm a Satanist? I don't want the angels to be called the angels because it offends my religion
There you
or
go.
whatever. It's like we can find something to be offended by in almost every way, shape, or form. Well, I like to be fat, and you're called the athletics. Well, I don't really like athleticism. It's like, well, come on, man. You can literally find. every
If
single
that's
thing.
true, Vic, I think I'm done. I think I'm done with sports. If that's true, but
No,
I
I
don't-
mean,
yeah, you're being silly. Yeah, you're being silly. You're being silly. Yeah,
I'm
but I'm
being
just saying,
silly. Like, I
but
can
if that
find
actually
every
did
team name.
existed and someone got mad, like, bro, first of all, you don't even play sports. My thing is like when people say like when the people call people who play esports when they call them athletes, like,
Hey, man.
are you athletes when you
I
play
don't know,
esports?
man. You've seen those Korean people
Yeah,
play.
the-
You've seen how crazy
APM
those
is
are.
pretty insane.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the action per minute.
Yeah, like that's kind of an
Like
athletic
the-
feat.
I used to watch StarCraft, like the Kotai and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you ever heard about this guy. It's gonna sound silly in the podcast, but there's this guy named Flash
Uh-huh.
that plays StarCraft. He plays the Marines or whatever
Space
they-
Marines.
the Space Marines. This guy used to have a ruler, and he would literally have to have his keyboard
At a certain
specific-
distance?
Yes, certain distance, certain length, certain everything in order for him to play, because everything had to be specific for him to be able to play. And I mean, that's a lot of dedication for you to know exactly where your fingers are gonna be, how you're gonna
Execute.
how you're gonna execute everything. And then I remember one of them went down with carpal tunnel, and they were talking to him like he had an ACL tear. They're like, "Oh,
So how you gonna
no.
recover
His-
from this
yeah, his
injury?
career is
He's out
ruined."
for 6
Like,
weeks.
oh my god.
You have to put
and,
it-
and I was like, man, I mean, that sounds like if you're looking at a sport that's professional, you know how you become
They all had suits and
injured.
everything?
Oh,
If you think about it, like the brain is, I mean, it may not be technically a muscle, but the way we enhance our memory and everything, and the ability to remember things and use those things, we have to work on it and work it out. So it is a kind of, maybe not fits the definition of athleticism with
Yeah.
the body itself, but I know a lot of those people, their brain power, just listen to me try to explain it. It's greater than mine.
And you're right. But there's some times where you're like, you'll see like JJ Watt and Justin Wong who play Street Fighter, and you're like, and someone said point to the athlete.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be like, oh, they're both athletes. One's just an E athlete. I'm like, no, I was like, no, JJ Watt's the athlete.
man, I can tell you that there's probably more people in our community that know Justin Wong than they know JJ Watt.
Probably. Yeah.
Like that,
In the-
it's almost it's
in the-
almost hands down. Like Justin Wong is legendary.
Yeah. When it comes to
Yeah.
fighting games, for sure. Yeah.
Like if people don't like the NFL, they would never even know JJ Watt,
That's
and they might not even know JJ Watt outside of Houston. Like we know because we're in Houston,
Yeah.
but you know we talked to some guys that don't really like the Texans, and JJ Watt's already a decade behind. You know,
Yeah.
and we can go to almost any city. We can go to California. We could go to New York and stuff. If you're not a NFL fan, you probably don't even know who JJ Watt is.
That's true. Well, okay. But like, I'm just saying,
Around
but-
the world.
But I'm just saying, like
Around
the whole part
world.
of being an athlete, though. I mean, I'm just saying, like, if you like, yes, you're right. There is some brain power. You actually know stuff, but it's like, I don't know. There's a difference between being athletic, and then like,
Well, I
Street
mean,
smart.
okay,
Maybe the
so
word itself is what we get hung up on. And you could say like an athlete by definition isn't like an e-athlete or whatever you want to call it. But I definitely think that in themselves, there's a lot of skill. It's very skill intensive. So maybe we should just use a different word to describe it.
It might have to be a yeah.
But
Because
then there's people who call like mathletes too, right?
athletes.
And then you're talking about all these people who are super smart that are very agile with their mind. Like for instance, if we're talking about a chess player, right? He doesn't look very athletic, but if you play him in chess, you would never beat him. In
He's
like
mentally
years,
very
right?
strong.
There
Yeah.
has to be a definition for being mentally strong and being like a
What's
mental
the
athlete.
Magnus
Carlsen.
Magnus Carlsen.
Also,
Yeah.
that was such a cool name for being the best chess player. In the
But
world.
yeah, he's what
Yeah,
the autistic kid that's really good at chess. Oh, is he autistic?
Magnus, no,
No, I don't think
he's
Magnus
autistic.
is
No,
autistic.
he's just a phenom. That's insane.
His name is Magnus. You're right.
Yeah,
Carlsen.
Magnus.
Such a sick name.
I'd keep it.
Yeah,
I'd have that.
Like if I was first in anything, I
Magnus Prime.
would want that name.
Magnimus Prime. I like that.
Yeah, no, but he's really good. I mean, he redefined chess playing and stuff like.
You ever play chess?
Yeah, but not like those guys.
I would. I don't know. I know that you could like. I'm pretty sure it got like a reinvigorated when that show came out on what's that show on Netflix with that little redhead
Queen's Gambit.
Gambit. Yeah, that came out. I'm sure it got a big resurgence. Chess seems like a fun game to play, but I think it'd be one of those things that you kind of want to like sit down with someone and play one on one.
I mean, it's
Unless you
fun.
want to play online. I guess you could play online.
If you play with some randos, it's fun. But I'm pretty sure playing at a professional level, like the way that they're playing, that does not look like fun to me, to be honest.
It's different though, right? Like it's the
Right.
pursuit of winning. So like you enjoy fighting games, right? So some people enjoy casually playing them, but you enjoy, I assume, the competition.
Yeah.
Right, that you get that win, like you said, we were discussing last night, that feeling, that thought that you achieved it, all the skill that you put in, you did it. So if you enjoy chess, you may not enjoy traveling to the event, having to wait for the judges, sit down, but when you beat your opponent, you outsmart them. I'm sure that's just a little bit of that, that dopamine.
Is that how you felt when you were playing Magic?
Oh,
When you used to travel?
Yeah, I mean, I hated all the aspects of it, but when I would sit down against my opponent and I would outsmart them on the battlefield, it's great.
What was the first thing you would do, like when you sit down, you look at and you see the first time they drop and you're like, okay, I already
You
know.
would call judge. It was like he just automatic put his
Put the
his
threat.
opponent.
Put the
Yeah, he
threat
put his
there. Let him know.
opponent
I'll
and,
call the
get him
judge.
Nervous as hell.
I'll let you know. I will call the judge.
He sees them shaking for a second. Call judge. Get deck check.
Oh, it was great when two rules lawyers would play against each other because we
Yeah.
would just be like hawking, like, are you gonna make a mistake? Then they call judge, you counter call
and I
judge.
counter judge, and then who resolves first? The last judge will come in.
They gotta pull you away from the table. It's beautiful.
That happened to you?
Sometimes, like, so if you want to explain something to the judge without your opponent
Giving
having a
information,
chance.
yeah.
So like you say, hey judge, can I talk to you away from the table? Especially as if you want to say something to the judge where your opponent might lie about it, you tell the judge first, and then the judge will ask the opponent some question that doesn't exactly give away what you
Yeah.
were mentioning, and then you hear their side of the story, and then they could determine if it was a lie.
Oh.
What happened?
So I just remember something that was like super scummy. So I remember there was these guys that we used to talk to that would come in and they were, they played. They were trying to get into like professional playing, and we explained to them about this this trick called the bullet. Did you ever hear about that?
No, tell me about the bullet.
So you grab your opponent's deck when you're shuffling, right? You shuffle it to where you drop one card and you throw it like right next to your opponent. And then whenever you like do your power shuffle, you do power shuffle and then you're like, oh, 59 cards. And you call a judge and you're like, judge, this guy gave me like a 59 card deck. And then whenever your opponent is like frantically freaking out, he looks down and he sees his card. So he has to get a game loss for having a card like that. But we told this guy as a joke, like something like that somebody did, and it was ridiculous. We're like, "Duh, so scummy, right?" Well, this guy actually did it in one of the tournaments.
Did he get away with it?
Yes.
It
we
was
felt so bad when we all knew.
You guys are complicit.
we would never encourage anyone.
Yeah, we've never.
No,
we
don't
do
cheat.
not
Yeah,
like
don't
cheating.
cheat.
But
Yeah.
you always hear about the cheats, and so you're just like telling people like, yeah, so
Like,
this
hey,
is
you
what
gotta
would-
watch out because you know
This might happen.
there's these cheats out there that do some crap like
And
that.
that motherfucker
So
did that.
This guy did what it's called like the fake scoop.
Yeah.
Right. So like you're playing your match, and you're dead on board. Right. So like let's say I'm the person who's about to die.
Yeah.
And you're winning, and you have lethal. And so what will happen? This guy literally did it basically. So he's just like, well, I guess that's it. And he just starts kind of like shuffling his cards around, and his opponent thinks he's picking him up. So his opponent packs up all this stuff, and the guy still leaves everything there. And then the guy's confused, and he's like, "Yeah, what are you doing, man?"
Judge.
And so then when the judge comes over, he explains to the judge, like, "Yeah, I was analyzing the board state, and it seemed like my opponent he just conceded. He picked up all of his stuff." And so the opponent he would get mad and be like, "Well, what, you were motioning to pick up your stuff. I thought you were conceding." And so then they get into this war, and the judge doesn't know what to do. And it's like his word against his.
Yeah.
And luckily for the guy, there were witnesses, but the guy was furious. The guy was like, "I'm going to see you outside in the parking lot." And so the guy who basically did this was just like, he was afraid to go outside.
Get out.
He was terrified.
That's what he gets.
Yeah. It's so smart.
And a lot of these times we would tell these people these stories because we didn't want them to. It was like, you gotta watch
Something
out
to
for
look out for.
It was like, hey, you gotta watch out for these things. But we never thought like these assholes would
Use it.
or like use them in like in these things, So
Jesus Christ, dude.
yeah, man, the fucking Magic was so cutthroat with things like that.
Did you go on any like out of town
Oh
tournaments and
yeah,
stuff like that?
we used to go out of town all the time.
I know Shane did. I don't know if you guys went together.
Yeah,
What were some of your best ones you enjoyed? Maybe not
I
necessarily
got-
one, but just had a good time.
No, I won the one in San Antonio.
Yeah.
No, in Austin. I won one in Austin.
What were you using?
I was using blue, red, green, Primeval Titan. What was that forecast? The blue forecast? Tempora Mastery.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that deck.
It was like a homebrew. It was like an actual archetype.
No, my boy Huglin.
Yeah.
Love Huglin. He is so good. That was such a good deck. It had 4 Ponders, 4 Primeval Titans. It had 2 that image that would copy a creature on the field.
Mm-hmm.
It had 4 of the what's the name of that guy? 4 mana, gets a land.
Oracle Moldiah?
No. The one that's an artifact.
Oh, Solemn Simulacrum?
4 Solemn Simulacrums.
Jens Thornton?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah,
Nice.
it had 4 Solemn Simulacrums in it. It had Rampant Growth. I mean,
This sounds like your
that
kind of
was
deck.
it was just so juicy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You would go like turn 1 ponder into trying to get Tempora Mastery. Tempora Mastery, like, turn 2
So-
or turn like you would try to ramp into Tempora Mastery. And Tempora Mastery was a time walk,
Mm-hmm.
literally 2 mana, take an extra turn.
But yeah, it had the Miracle mechanic. And Miracle says if you would draw that card, it's the first card you would draw, you can reveal it. And it's like, it's a miracle.
What's up?
And you pay its Miracle cost. And the Miracle cost was 1 blue and a colorless.
Oh,
And it
wow.
says take an extra turn.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just stupid.
So right out the gate, you're firing all cylinders.
Yeah, like there were times where you're just like ramping, you on tap, and you're like, ooh, take an extra turn and play a Primeval Titan. And then now I get to attack with my Primeval Titan, get 2 more lands, and then just freaking, like I'm 10 lands while you're at 3.
So is it? I know you guys like say Magic is like super competitive, and they're kind of they had the that fire system where they just make it, if it's strong, set it out, and if it's we'll balance it later.
Yeah.
Did it become where when you're competing, it's like whoever can just get to their sources first, or was it actual like all right back and forth when it comes to like the games
Sometimes. It depends on the type of
and the
cards.
matchups
And-
too?
It depends on the meta, because there was metas that were, I mean, man, this is one of the things that I loved about Magic, that I felt was fair back in the day.
And when you say
not-
back in the day, how far back we talking about?
Maybe like 7 or 8 years ago.
Definitely before fire.
Because I like okay here.
Excuse me,
That,
guys.
like some of the best decks, like I think Jace the Mind Sculptor was a very degenerate card,
Mm-hmm.
and it like completely changed the format. But there was things that were happening that were kind of cool. So one tournament you see a bunch of like 4 Jace the Mind Sculptor. The next tournament you see people are using little Jace, because if you had little Jace, they can use big Jace. Because at the time you played a little Jace, then if they played a big Jace, they both get killed. So they didn't
Because of the
want,
legendary rule.
because of legendary rule.
Yeah.
So then you started seeing like decks have like from 1 little Jace to 2 little Jace to 3 little Jaces, because Jace the Mind Sculptor, like it was the best counter for a Jace the Mind Sculptor. And I
Ah.
always thought that like progressionally throughout like the tournaments, people were coming up with strategies that were ingenious.
Yeah.
And it would make it make sense, but it was also made it fun because there was not, no matter what, there was always something that you could do to outsmart your opponent, right? Instead of just having this one deck that's so overpowering that is like, well, fuck, now we just got to spend $700, $800 to make the same deck because there's nothing else that you can beat it, and there's no way of countering it, no matter how little that counter is, even against the mirror match. Like, there's just no, it's just, did you open the nuts? Nope, I opened mid. Okay, well, I guess I win this turn because I'm just going to go off and fucking shit on you, right? So, and that's what it's become, and it's not, like, that to me is not fun.
Yeah.
Like, to me, is having to find these little loopholes, these little intricacies. Like, for a while there, I remember Dark Depths was, like, the best deck. And then somebody was like, you know what's the best? Well, it was Dark Depths and Thopter, right? And you're like, well, you either play Dark Depths or you play Thopter. And then this one dickhead was like, I'm gonna fucking combine both of them and fucking go Thopter decks.
That
Like,
worked?
and it worked.
It won a Grand Prix.
And
It
I'm
worked.
like, you know,
It was
you
actually
see-
insane.
Yeah, you see the evolution. It's like you get these 2 fucking major decks, and then some fucking dickhead was just like, well, I'm gonna play fucking both of them because I don't know which one to play. So he combined both decks, and then
It worked.
the Opter decks was fucking shitting on everybody for a long time.
Well, to his point, I actually really enjoyed that too, because like kind of what he's saying is with now every removal spell has and a bonus. It's not just destroy a creature. It's like destroy a creature, scry 1, destroy a creature, draw a card, or destroy a creature, bounce permanent. Like there's usually like little intricacies that they tack on to give you more value, where it makes the card more flexible, and you always want to run more of those effects usually. Whereas back in the day, when you drew the bullet that would destroy your opponent's enchantment, like denaturalize or disenchant, that card was awful if your opponent just had creatures in play. So you don't really get punished like that anymore, and things are way more flexible. And I think sometimes that's good, but I miss that part too, because you would look at these sideboard cards, like these cards that are normally junk. Like there's a card that kind of sees play now, but like what they would deal with the Dark Depths. Do you remember Dark Depths?
No.
So it came out Cold
It
Snap,
came out with your time.
and
It was a crap card in your time. It was fucking OP as shit on our time.
Give me the run. What's Dark Depths?
so it's a land, and it started with 20 ice counters on it. You could pay 3 mana to remove an ice counter. It did nothing, but if you removed all the ice counters, you sacrifice it, and you put a 20/20 indestructible flying in play.
Oh God.
So they made cards, notably when Planeswalkers came out, that had, they made a card called Vampire Hexmage to deal with Planeswalkers, and it said you could sacrifice it to remove all the counters from target permanent. So when Hexmage is you have Dark Depths and you could sacrifice the Hexmage, remove all the counters instantly, and you make a 20/20 for 2 mana.
Ah.
That's pretty busted, right?
Like turn 2.
Yeah.
Yes,
So
Oh.
so back in the day, you play like Swords of Plowshare to get rid of 20/20. You have to exile it because it has indestructible, whatever, right? So I've seen people play. There's like a card that says target player sacrifices a flying creature. Like niche cards like that. Like if you have more than one flyer, it sucks. You can't, but most decks that play Dark Depths only have that flying creature.
That one flyer, yeah.
So I love that kind of interaction. But now there's like a lot of cards that, they have some minor downsides, but there's so much upside. And that's kind of what Fire brought on. Fire brought on where, they just made everything busted and powerful. and it's like Magical Christmas Land. Every deck it has so many tools that they that they have to their disposal. But yeah, not the biggest fan of it.
Yeah, I mean, another tournament. If you're looking at the winnings, I did win a regional tournament for Houston. I was playing elves,
Yeah.
and my last opponent, I was going against Jund, which was a big like deck at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And whenever I opened up my hand, I opened up with two of the what was the name of that card? It was like colorless and a green, destroy target flying creature.
Plummet.
Okay, so I opened up with two plummets. It was like a land of war, another land, two plummets, and a scavenging ooze. And I was like, man, this is a really bad hand. But the only card that I lose to is Olivia.
Yeah.
Because I can't beat Olivia any other way. Like, I have to have plummet or I literally just lose. So I was like, man, fuck it. Like, because if he has an Olivia, I have to get rid of it. Because this ooze can win me the game, or it can just, or like I'm just gonna lose because they just have so many 2-for-1s. Scavenging ooze was like triple green, indestructible, trample,
God.
and every time it attack, it get a +1/+1 counter.
Oh, you're thinking about a different card.
Oh.
Scavenging
Oh
Ooze
no,
is-
no, not scavenging ooze. Scavenging ooze colors in a green.
and
It's
then
a
exile.
It's
and Good Life.
what was it? Oh, like predator ooze.
Predator Ooze, yeah. You're talking
Yeah, something like that. So I went like turn 1 Land of War go, turn 2 ooze,
Mhm.
right? And then he went rampant growth or something dumb busted. And then like on my turn I opened up a Rancor and I was like, oh, it's on, baby. Like it's on. Put Rancor on the ooze, swing, hit for like 4 or 5 or something. He untaps, he plays Olivia. And I was like, plummet, because that shit's an instant.
Yeah.
So I plummet, he untaps, plays a second Olivia, and I plummet again. And like that right there, like he can't beat the ooze.
Yeah.
Because they had at that time, Bloodbraid Elf was a 2-ass, so that's nothing. They can't kill the ooze back. They had there was a Jund creature that was a 3/3 for 3. When it died, it made like 2 saplings or
3
something.
saplings.
3 saplings?
Yeah, it
Fucking
replaced
card was
itself.
dumb.
Yeah. Yeah, that deck was all 2-for-1s.
Yeah, like dude, that card was so dumb.
You said it was a.
It was
you said,
a red.
You said
green-
Rancor?
Huh?
Yeah.
Rancor
You should
came
know
back?
Rancor.
It came back.
Yeah, they got reprinted.
Yeah, they reprinted Rancor in one of the core sets.
Which one's this one? The one Shane got me. I was like, oh, Putrefy, that's cool. He's like, yeah, it's like that's like the 5th version of Putrefy that got reprinted. I'm like,
Oh yeah.
like really? Like I remember when it came out in Apocalypse. Like cool, destroy target.
Apocalypse, no, it's from Ravnica.
Ravnica.
Was it Ravnica? Sorry, yeah. I was thinking about enemy black green.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so see, this is a reasonable card, right? It's flexible. It destroys an artifact or a creature.
Yeah.
Okay. But it doesn't do anything else.
That's it.
It doesn't cantrip, doesn't scry, doesn't surveil, Like so this is respectable. Right?
Yeah.
Now it's like
It's like baseline. It's like baseline good, right?
Yeah.
Like from there, it can only go up. Because if it's anything less than that, it's not.
I mean, I'm fine with making it like Fatal Push is a kind of a more recent one. It's like destroy target creature, CMC 2 or less.
Yeah.
And then if you have Revolt, which is if a permanent goes to your graveyard, you destroy something with 4 or less. 1 black. So there's restrictions. I like the restrictions.
I like Smother.
Yeah, Smother's great.
Yeah.
No, but
Perfect.
this is like infinite smother. It's smother for 1, and then it's only a better smother.
Yeah, it's actually
like
just the best.
yeah, it's
Better
just like,
smother,
like
yeah.
for 1 mana. So
Yeah,
it's
so they made Smother cheaper and better. But even I'm okay with that card. What I'm not okay with is just making cards too unfair, right? Too powerful, too cheap. Like Ragavan is perfect. example.
That dumb ape.
Yeah, that card is not fun to play against.
And what version of this Putrefy is this?
Mystical Archive, I believe.
And there's been how many versions since then?
like a bunch, at least 5 or 6.
Nice card. That's why I picked it up. Oh, Putrefy, cool. He's like, you want it?
Yeah, but
okay,
that's-
I'll take it.
That's shit now. Like,
I
you
know.
may not even draft the card. Like I remember.
It'll go on my wall of magic over there, and it'll be a happy
Remember
little home.
Putrefy was a 4 of in your deck back in the day?
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah. Or if you had black or green, black and green, you put Putrefy in there for removal.
I mean, Pulse was like a 4 of at one point in time,
Pulse
and
was
then,
really good.
it went to like a 3, and then it went to like
I don't remember
a 2.
Pulse.
So Pulse destroy target non-land permanent and all permanents of the same name for the same cost as Putrefy.
Yeah, non-land.
It was the sorcery though.
But I mean, it could
But
destroy
still, though.
artifacts, enchantments, all the creatures. Like if they had a bunch of tokens, you
Yeah,
just,
yeah,
like, pulse.
I can't think about the power level now because I'd be like Rip Van Winkle, asleep for 20 years, and I come back like,
And that
what's
was
going
like
on?
5 years ago from Putrefy. Like I remember when Putrefy came out, people were freaking out. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
It's like
Wizard
a
of Mine.
Barricade uncommon,
yeah.
but better.
But
You know,
better.
Like,
Is it instant sorcery? Yes, it
it's
is.
an
Yeah.
instant, yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, Vindicate was a
Sorcery, yeah, black, white,
Yeah.
colorless.
Yeah, so Abrupt Decay is like the newer Putrefy, but it had restrictions, right? So like, all those
Abrupt
cards,
Decay was 2 mana.
it was 2 mana instant,
You can't counter it.
Can't be countered.
can be
Can
countered.
be countered. Like some bust. But that wasn't even as broken as some of the shit they got now, though. So that's also the thing.
When they change the power level, is it because they want things to be just more aggressive and go faster, or do they have like powerful control cards also?
No.
Was
they
there like a
should-
balance? Was it like powerful aggressive cards and powerful control cards also?
There was one format where control was so overpowered that I think they literally like shit on control after this.
Yeah.
And that's whenever they had like the Sun Titans and the what was that? The 5 mana revive a creature and then you could pay
Burial
4.
rights.
Oh, there was like an Unburial Rights called Solar Flare,
Mm-hmm.
and it was like blue, white, black deck. And basically, what it did, it was just like a bunch of counters, and then dump these like fatties in the graveyard, and they would just bring back all these fatties. And then they had this one card that was like double blue and white and X. What was it? Something Revelation.
Sphinx's Revolution.
Sphinx's Revelation, where you would just go like in a turn, draw 10, gain 10 life, and it's like, oh, GG.
I don't remember that card being in that deck.
Yeah, it was in Solar Flare. Solar Flare was all like counters and like
I think that was like the newer Solar Flare.
the newer
because
Solar
the
Flare.
one that I'm thinking of was like, oh man, it played Court Hussar, I think 2 in a blue when it came to play. You know, it was a 1/3, and then if you didn't play white, whenever it can play, but anyways, you look at, I think you would brainstorm or something. But
Nah, when Sphinx's Revelation came out, I think that's when it was like the last straw.
Yeah.
Like, people, because it was kind of like this. The decks that were playing the weenie guys,
Mhm.
they only had like 4 turns, 3 to 4 turns to kill you, because turn 4 you were gonna Wrath, and then the next turn after that you were gonna Sphinxes for like 2 or 3,
Mm-hmm.
and then after that you're gonna start Sphinxing for 4 and 5 and like whatever, and then once you started Sphinxing for way too much, like it's just, like there's just no way
You're
that
out
you
of
can play.
steam,
Yeah,
yeah.
there's no way. Like you're not gonna be able to counter the draw and counter the life gain.
Yeah.
And they had a bunch, like I think they had the walls that was like 2 mana gain 4 life when it came to play.
so I think they made the shift a little bit before the new age, so to say, happened. So like the last time they printed Counterspell, I think was in 7th edition. Before they've recently printed it, obviously, but since it had, because it had rotated out
Mm-hmm.
for a point, and we lost a lot of 2 mana counterspells. And Watsy basically said, "Did you ever see the card Cancel?" It's like blue colorless. It's just counterspell with 1 mana tacked onto it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like they pretty much said they want Cancel to be the defining counterspell, right? We basically, if everything that's not Cancel is going to be slightly worse or rare or mythic or something, right?
Mm-hmm.
So or conditional. They wanted to get rid of just 2 mana counter target spell. They wanted to kind of reduce that control field. They didn't want games to be like defined by a 2 mana counter spell. So they started pushing creatures, where creatures became more powerful and spells became more expensive or less powerful, so to say. And that's kind of when Planeswalkers came out too, and that they made Planeswalkers really powerful. So it was what it was a game of, instead of playing control, so to say, control still always existed, just in different formats and ways, but you were more so playing a race to protect the planeswalkers, and then you're playing these sub games of, do I attack their life total or do I attack
Go
a
for the-
planeswalker?
yeah.
You know, so that's kind of what they pushed, and they got away from the like draw go control. And what control kind of became was a lot of like tap out control. Whereas instead of you playing, you know, I protect myself with counter magic and sit back, you were just every turn.
Now we're locking down the
slamming-
board.
Yeah, just slamming big threats every turn, gaining a bunch of life, playing spells at sorcery speed. And so it was like, whatever, you play a bunch of threats, I'll blow them all up. You know, or I'll deal with them. And then I'll play my late game finisher. So it just kind of evolved into a different deck style, I think.
Well,
How did the like as a player base and fan base? How did you guys receive it? How did you think like okay, good direction, something different? It was fun.
Well, it's because there was a format called the Time Spiral format, which was atrocious.
Yeah.
I think a lot of us even kind of stopped playing around that time because the most popular deck was called Pickles or something.
Yeah.
It,
I don't
and
know
it
if
was
feels
it was
right.
like it was a blue deck, and I want to say it was just purely blue,
Mm-hmm.
but it had the counter spell that you can buy back, and it was running Tron lands. And then I think it might have been running like I think they might have reprinted like Capsize or something. So then you like you
I don't know that.
but like I think like you had this counter that you could just counter everything
Yeah.
like every turn. And then the win condition was this land that you can pay 7 to make a 2/2. And that was the win condition.
That's it.
That was it. Like nothing like everything else in your hand was just like counters and bounce.
So I don't know if that's the same deck. So like Pickles was like a lock deck. It
What?
played Brine Elemental. That's why it's called Pickles, because Brine.
All right.
Yeah. And the way Pickles would work is, and I could be butchering it because I didn't actually play the deck, but I believe it either had Morph. I think it had Morph. But when it would come to play, it would either make them skip their own tap step or tap permanence or something. So it would lock them out because they would be able to do it every turn, either through like a clone effect or body double.
I thought it was like some kind of bounce. But anyways, it was terrible.
Yeah.
Like because it would run Tron, and then it would just like counter everything and like bounce everything. And they had reprinted the counter spell that you can buy back. So that's why it was running the Tron lands, because the Tron would pay for the buyback,
Okay,
and then you
counter.
would just like
Counter
buy
lock.
back and counter everything. Because it was the one that it was like CMC X or whatever.
Yeah, counter spell CMC X.
And then
its
you would
cost
just-
was blue X.
What is
Yeah.
DMC?
Converted mana cost.
Oh, never mind.
Yeah, so you would just be like, well, I have all this Tron mana, counter,
Bye bye.
and then buy back, and then every turn after that, it was just, probably multiple counter spells with the buyback.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't play during that format.
But like
took a
most
break.
most people,
Really?
yeah, most people did not play that format. That format was just, like I said, it was mostly blue, mostly awful. I think they had that double white 3/3 flying vigilance, Sarah's Avenger or something.
Yeah.
Like yeah, it was also another counter deck that would just play Sarah's Avengers on turn
As a win
4.
condition. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I can't speak on the format. Like I said, I can't take
I
a
think
break.
they had Stompy. Stompy was kind of good during that format. They had like a mono green deck, but then again, you're just basically playing like creatures can be countered and trying to,
So I remember it kind of differently because I didn't play, but my friends would describe it to me, and I remember fairies being really popular because Lorwyn
No,
was.
but this is the one before.
Oh, was Lorwyn after? Time
Yeah,
Spiral?
Lorwyn after Time Spiral. So I'm talking about the one before Lorwyn. Because once Lorwyn came out, things started getting different.
Nutty?
Because that's when the Planeswalkers came out.
Yeah, I left
And
during
then,
Time Spiral. Future Sight. Yeah.
Yeah, so you got to see Tarmogoyf, but it was a
Yeah,
trash
he was garbage. Yeah, I remember one day Kevin telling me like, dude, he's worth like I don't know some insane amount of money. I was like,
$100.
what?
Yeah, he was forever. He was $100 bill,
Yeah,
and
he
now
was
he's
a-
like
I sold mine for
$69.
Didn't they reprint him or something like that?
To oblivion.
No.
But the other thing too is power creep. He's
Power creep. Yeah, the power creep. Yeah, the power creep.
which is so sad. Like Tarmogoyf has a special place in my heart. I love
Yeah,
that card.
one of my buddies online, Viet, he showed me a picture of Spirit Monger. He's like, hey, he's an uncommon now.
Yeah.
He used to be like in Apocalypse, he was right like, whoa, Spirit Monger.
Yeah, you used to crack
Rock
an
of the
Apocalypse
Millions.
box, and you'd be thrilled to have
Yeah.
that strong.
And now he's like, yeah, Rick gets it uncommon now. I'm like, thanks, Viet. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, so,
Is it really a non-com?
yeah. Really shifting him down.
I mean, it's because he should be a 3-mana 5/5 now.
Right, yeah.
Instead of a 5-mana 4/4 or whatever the fuck. Oh no,
No, he was a 5 mana
5/5.
6/6.
6/6.
6 for 5. Yeah.
Yeah, with regen and color for
Color change?
Color
Changes
change.
color.
And he got bigger every time he killed a creature or something like that, or dealt
Yeah, I think-
damage.
And you regenerate, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, why did he have color change?
Because people were pro colors back in the day. Like there was a bunch of cards that were printed like pro
Right.
colors.
Yeah.
So you can just be like, well, he's blue now. And like,
He's
oh,
blue
fuck
now.
you.
Yeah.
Fuck your like black or whatever.
He's blue now. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I like. I don't know. I like talking to Magic about you guys and y'all stories, but when it comes to like now, I don't know. I just don't. Especially like when they had the whole new set. They just came out with with the ring, the Lord of the Ring set, and you're like, Rick, you want these cards?
Yeah. I was trying to give him some cards.
He literally tried to give me cards. I'm like, Lord of the Ring. I'm like, no, I'm good, bro. The foil. I'm like,
Well,
I might take
think they-
one of each land and just like put them up there or something, but.
I think they race swapped a bunch of
They
characters
did.
too.
Yeah, I think they did.
Some people got mad.
It just becomes to a point where it's just like, why? It just I don't understand it. I like you know, there's worse things to get upset about it, but when you look at it and you think about it, you're like, what's the point of changing it? I don't know.
Well, okay, so I went to go watch The Nun 2 yesterday,
Oh god.
which was a fucking shit show.
Which is the Nun? Wait, there's a Nun 1
Yeah. Nun 1 is actually not bad.
on Netflix.
No, I went
I-
to the went to
I'm
the
not a
movie
scary movie
theater.
watcher, so.
Yeah, I went to the movie theater. I actually went to the rooftop cinema. I've never been there before.
All right.
It's on top of a Whole Foods downtown.
Really?
Yeah, you're like in between all these like skyscrapers. You're watching a movie. You got some headphones.
It seems like
on.
nice atmosphere.
It's nice. But I mean, it's super fucking expensive as well. It's like $10 for an IPA. I'm like, holy fuck.
Really? Was it a good
So,
IPA?
It was Dogfish. Yeah, I don't even know if I can say that. Whatever.
you
Well, we'll
can-
give
you
a shout out to
can-
Dogfish.
You can say
Fucking
whatever you want.
IPA. So we
Sponsor
went
us,
out.
Dogfish.
Yeah, we're not
we went
sponsored by
out,
anybody, bro.
And the tickets were for 2 people $66 with 66 cents, and you get unlimited popcorn, and you know you get an assigned seat that's better than like for all the plebes or
Okay.
whatever. So peasants can sit on the other side.
The
You're a
peasants.
badass. You're gonna be in the middle.
You got the flex.
you get the flex.
You got the
seats.
flex seats.
And then they give you some headphones. So, you know, you have the headphones on and then you're looking at a screen. Now, what's cool over there is that they actually do some retro movies.
Yeah?
So if you want to see like Friday or some other 90s like sitcom that you want to watch, you can go over there. And you're like, it's basically like lawn chairs, but like glorified lawn chairs. They have some cushions in there and
Yeah.
whatnot. They have your little area that you can, you know, eat.
How'd you hear about it?
One of my customers actually told me about it.
Okay.
And they were like, yeah. And I had been wanting to watch The Nun as well because I really like all the Conjurings and everything like that. But man, it's just... I told you, I don't watch movies like regular people do. Like, I always...
Mikkel's starting to get like that. She's trying to see, like, she'll watch like stuff on Disney Plus, and she starts to see all these little subtle things that they're doing. She's like, I can't turn my brain off. I see everything. I was like,
Yeah, like,
we're not seeing the same thing.
We're not seeing the same thing no more. And it's just, you know, they were saying like, oh, based in the 1920s and you know, we have Irene, who we've known, you know, from Conjuring, and her best gal is this like little black girl that's a nun.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, oh, man, like, okay, if we're talking about like historically accurate, if you're like living in Paris, they
didn't
just
exist.
don't favor black people at that time. Like they just don't, you know.
It wasn't a thing.
And if they do, it's not gonna be some American sounding girl. It's gonna be like some girl from like Ethiopia
That has an accent or
like,
something, yeah.
some like super like crazy African. But it's not gonna be. And I get it. Like I get inclusion, but whenever you're talking about like historically accurate, like we're not gonna make fucking Hitler Korean, right?
Can you
like,
imagine?
It's just like just to make it like inclusive. Like that's just what I'm saying. Like they just trying to like it's almost like we're doing like a history of Hitler, and like one of his SS officers is like this big black guy is like, hey, who's here?
going on, guys?
Like fuck these Jews, like dude, that's not gonna happen. Like
You're
I don't
right.
care how much inclusion you want to do it.
You're right. There's a part where like you want to do inclusion, a movie that's all sure, but then you want to be historically accurate, and then that's something else. You have to like pick. You can't get both lanes. Like,
yeah,
pick
like
one,
you
dude.
can't just you talk about like historic. Yeah, I mean I get it.
Yeah.
Right. I get it. Like yeah, it is inclusive. Black people were never in any movies for like a shitload of fucking years, especially horror movies. If they were there,
It was
they
a
got
token.
killed
Yeah,
first.
it was always a token.
Right? It
Yeah,
was like a token dude, always got killed first. I get it.
Yeah.
Like they did them wrong for a long time. But now you're just including them for like no fucking reason, and then you're calling it like historically accurate. And it's like, what? I mean, whatever. I see The Nun is not also historically accurate, but it is based off of like the recollections of Irene Warren, which she was a real person. She did live like around those times.
really.
And I mean, obviously, it's,
They got Hollywood.
it's very Hollywood. It's not
very
gonna be like
Hollywood.
100% the recollection.
Yeah,
of everything.
I've been watching the Star Wars show on Disney Plus.
Which one?
Ahsoka.
Okay.
Yeah, and it just becomes like it's. I'm not a big fan of Ahsoka anyway. I'm when it comes to Star Wars, I like the main movies. I'm fine with them, but when it comes to like going to TV shows, I'll watch some of them, but I'm not like hardcore fan. But watching Ahsoka, it just feels like it's like a girl boss show.
Oh, it's just all.
I'm like, okay, I get it, cool, and then but they're the ones that do everything. After a while, it just becomes like, okay, I think I've seen this already before. We'll watch something different.
I watch a bunch of people on YouTube that they talk about the girl boss genre and why people are mostly turned off by it, and they all come up to like the exact same thing. The girl bosses are badass for no reason. They don't have to fight through any trials or
Complete Mary Sue's,
tribulations
yeah.
or anything like that. They're just badass as they are.
No flaws.
And then all of a sudden they just realize that they have this OP power, and then they use the OP power and they just like crush everybody, right? And they never go through like having a battle with having the OP power, how to utilize it. Like they just magically have it, and when they realize they have it, they just like crush the movie, and it's like, ooh, this big like badass moment that they just like crush the whole thing.
No, I
like
agree.
I think Captain Marvel, she had like that limiter, and she was like, man, fuck this limiter. And then she's like, fucking like OP as fuck. And it's like, but how did you like what?
Yeah,
Like,
and you're right. You're right.
say?
It does, because like movies before, like Aliens, Sigourney Weaver,
Yeah.
she was a heroine, but it didn't like force it down your throat to tell you like she's a heroine, she's the bad. She's still flawed. There's still she still fucks up and shit. And same with like
Kill Bill.
Kill Bill. I love Kill Bill because
Bill.
yeah, I love that one. And I'm not even a big Tarantino fan, but I like Kill Bill. And you see her trying to rise to power to become badass, and I like that. I appreciate it.
She goes through the
yeah.
struggle. There's
Yeah,
no
you see it. It's not just
she goes through training.
yeah. She
all
gets
this-
humbled and everything.
Yeah, like she doesn't always win. It's always, but
Exact-
then again, like all the superheroes, like they don't win either. Like Iron Man's gotten his ass whooped like a bunch of fucking times.
Well, and he did.
Spider Man was
R.I.P.
yeah. Spider Man got his ass whooped a bunch of times. Like the Winter Soldier fucking beat the shit out of Captain America.
That was a
like,
fun scene.
like,
But yeah, it just when you start seeing Disney after a while, you kind of like, okay, I'm seeing the same
No,
thing over,
what
just
was
different
that?
backdrop.
there was this one the show that I really was like
The Boys.
trying to. No.
I like The
There
Boys.
was a Wheel of Time.
Oh yeah, that one.
Yeah.
I
Some
lasted
books.
through like 5 minutes of it, okay? Because there was this scene where the girl comes and she's all badass already and the horse, and she's like, no men are allowed here. And I was like, click.
Done.
We're like, yeah, I'm fucking
Yeah.
done. 5 minutes in already, I'm like, bro, if you're just gonna shit on men on everything, like,
What are we watching
I'm
here?
just not gonna watch it. Like, because I don't, okay, fine. Girls want to be the boss, sure, but show me why.
Yeah,
Whenever you're just like
just
excluding
out the
everything
bat.
else and like out the bat, just saying like men are shit. Why are men shit?
What's
Give
going on?
me
Yeah.
some substance.
Give me some
Like,
context.
give me some context. Like, what is it that leads up to all this stuff. It's like, what the fuck? It makes no
Yeah.
fucking sense.
And I tried watching that show too. I did like maybe 3, maybe 4 episodes, and after a while, I was just like, the show's just. To me, what turned me off was like the way everything looked. It looked too polished and pretty, and not pretty, but it just felt like too. I don't know, maybe too much of production. I don't know. I just did not land with me at all.
Did you watch the Lord of the Rings show?
maybe like 3 or 4 episodes.
Oh, another boss.
Yeah,
girl
I had the
boss.
same issue.
Yeah,
I couldn't. I watched like 1.5 episodes, and I was like, "What am I
this is
doing here?"
boring.
Yeah.
It was boring. I didn't care at all. I was like, the dude fell from the sky, okay, and then this chick jumps off a boat and decided to swim all the way back. I'm like, okay, how that's gonna happen, And it just after a while, just like, yeah, I think I'm good.
It's because so
ESG scores, baby.
the problem that a lot of these things have is that there's so much stuff going on, but no substance.
Yeah.
It's just all CGI,
I hate
all
CGI.
scene like the cinematic thing, and then you get to meet this person, but then who the fuck is he? You don't even care. Like you don't care about these people, right? Because you just hear their name and they're just the character, but you don't know anything about them. It's just all blanket. Nothing is happening. No development. Then they were like, well, we're going to trick you by having a really badass like scene with some monster or whatever. And then like nothing really happens. And then nothing gets solved. And then maybe girl boss. And then boom, the episode is over. Like, what the fuck?
Maybe girl boss.
Like, what is going on?
Yeah, that's another thing too. You're talking about like CGI and puppets. Like the older Star Wars movies, 4, 5, and 6. I liked it because they had puppets in there, And then after a while, I think like the ones that came out, 7, 8, and 9, complete garbage ones. Like everything was just CGI. Like, and it just, I don't know. I guess it breaks my immersion. And I know it's a sci-fi opera. It's not supposed to exist. I get it. But when you just see everything being just puppetized and CGI'd, and I don't know. It's just not fun for me anymore.
It's like for me, one of my all-time favorite movies is American Werewolf in London.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've ever seen it. Okay, but you need to.
Okay.
Because it's a really good movie.
Okay.
But there's a scene
Wait,
in the movie.
There's London and Paris, right?
Yeah, but Paris came way after. It's just
When the American Wolf in London come out?
It's an old movie, right?
oh, yeah,
80s?
70s,
70s, 80s?
Somewhere
70s.
around there.
Okay.
But there's a really like cool scene where he's like turning werewolf, and you see all the bones and all the stuff, and
He's
like just
transforming.
now it is, and like that scene right there, it just like sticks with you.
Yeah.
Because like for its time, it was just like way ahead of its time, right?
Kind of like
We-
Jaws.
Yeah, and then we see these new movies, like for instance, in The Nun, they had this one demon that comes out. He's just like, "Brr!" And then boom, like the kids are fucking running around, and I'm like, dude, let me see the fucking demon. Like, you showed him to me for like 2 seconds.
Yeah.
I can't tell like more than his face. I can't see if he's like badass, like fucking big buff, a fucking huge stick trying to like swing around. Like, the depiction of demons were fucking big dicks everywhere. Like, come on. At least let me see the dick.
You see the Whopper.
Show me something to be scared at. Like,
Show
it's
me the
just what
Whopper.
like, show me fucking something that, like, at least is like, whoa, shit. Like, artistically, it looks nice.
Yeah.
But you're gonna show me a fucking.
flash.
But like, they just put a flash like this, and then you just see like the random flash, and then it's like, brr, and they're like, okay, ooh.
Did they give the demon a backstory at least?
No. And that's why I'm fucking pissed. They didn't even call
I
it
hate
by his
that
name.
so much.
They didn't fucking give me it. Like, okay, here. So we're talking about a movie like The Nun, right?
Yeah.
Where they did all this shit. The whole movie, you literally could have just fucking sit there and just jerk off, and you're never gonna come because nothing is gonna excite you, right? So, but we're talking about a movie like Heritage. I think that's what it's called, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, with
I didn't watch it.
fucking Paimon and shit, and like all this other
Who's
crap.
Paimon?
So Paimon is one of the leaders of Lucifer.
Okay.
He's they literally explain the whole thing about him. He's
I need to watch it then.
yeah.
No, I love lore. Like,
Yeah, no, they like go into
You're
the
also
whole
saying
thing,
this.
like how they're trying to like
Maybe.
A little bit.
they're trying to offer like the firstborn son, and he's supposed to invade them and all this crap. And if you watch like the extended things that they put on, like they talk about how their grandma was in a cult and he kind of got his like family into it. And after she died, like the cult came back and tried to like infest the family, and they break down everything.
Really?
Like from the moment that the demons started possessing like different kids and different people in the family and everything. That's a fucking story. Like they give you some background, they give you more in depth. Like if you really like, you can watch the movie once, you're gonna miss fucking everything about it because there's so many Easter eggs and like
Little details.
little details here. The little
When did the Nun 2 come out?
fucking
It's
a
very
week ago. Yeah.
Really?
Like
Are they
a
on writer
week
strike?
ago.
No, I think it's just one.
Oh,
of the ones.
they already had the movie
Yeah, they got a
loaded
couple
up
in
and
the
ready.
chamber.
Yeah, locked and
But-
loaded.
The problem that I find, you know, with these things, well, first of all, we already know that the demon's name is Malik, right?
Mhm.
I think that's what the demon's name is for the nun. Not once did I hear the demon's name. Not once did they go back and, you know, make sense of how the demon even got there. What was all this shit? They, like the powers that he was chasing makes no fucking sense.
What's the plot?
Okay, the plot is that.
The TLDR.
It sounds like it's just jump scares.
So the plot is that this demon is trying to look for the eyes of this saint named Lucy or something that these pagans killed and fucking took out her eyes or whatever. But then they kept them away. They kept away these eyes, and these eyes like hold some crazy like visions or whatever. But then the people who are the descendants of Saint Lucy, or I think Saint Lucille, Saint Lucy, something like that. She, you know, they have like somewhat powers, like some kind of like vision powers and whatnot. So the demon is trying to get those powers. So she, you know, the demon's trying to figure out where they have these eyes, where they're hidden. But, you know, several different monks and different people had been like passing down it was like a relic, like a holy relic. And
Like human flesh eyes that hadn't deteriorated.
it's silly as fuck.
Okay.
Okay. Like, trust me, it's silly as fuck. Because even Sadie, who, you know, she was like, well, weren't the eyes supposed to just deteriorate after
Yeah.
a while? I'm like,
They've been
shut up.
mummified.
Like, I
They
know
put magic
it sounds
to
dumb.
encase
Like,
it.
I don't know. And, you know, I even try to make her, like, feel kind of dumb for even asking the question. I'm like, do you even know about these holy people? How when they die, they smell like fucking roses? These eyes are probably permanent, okay? Like,
From eyes.
like trust me, like we don't know what we're
What happened to
talking
the body? Is the rest of the body permanent?
about. No, she fucking burned. But
He burned.
so they hit these bodies and this I think they made it into like a boarding school, and they hit the eyes in, you know, whatever, under some
On the
concrete.
floorboards, yeah.
Under some fucking concrete in the roof, which makes no sense because they had fucking sand, and then when they were digging, it was like, but weren't you on the second floor? Like, okay, whatever. We're just not even
We'll
gonna
get
get to how construction stuff happens, anyways. But yeah. So the demon possessed this guy who's a traveler, and then the traveler was going from place to place, being possessed, trying to find these eyes.
Are you describing the plot to Diablo 2 right now?
I don't know. I guess
The Wanderer?
that's what it was.
Is there a
It
Deckard
was-
Cain in this?
I don't know, but he was farming tomatoes.
Greetings, traveler.
So yeah, I mean that I'm telling you, it's so like so dumb plot, and then the even the ending of the movie was just so fucking dumb, and it just made me
All right, so the demon wants the eyes.
right.
He's hunting for the eyes. The family is guarding the eyes. Does
no,
he get
no, the descendants are.
Yeah. What, that not family?
Well, depending, because they might not be family because, you know, they're priests and shit. They don't have families.
Okay, fair. Sure. Okay, but does the demon get the eyes?
Yes and no. It's weird.
So, once he gets them, what
Okay,
does he-
so the Arlene or whatever, Irene, and her sidekick, you know, the little black girl or whatever, she they figured out like magically, because you know she has all the resources in the world. They go from not knowing where the fuck the demon is to all of a sudden figuring out that the demon had possessed the wanderer, which is like insane to have like these deductive skills. And then she's like, man, I got the hookup at the Catholic Church. He can help me. And then they go to see the priest, who's like, he's not even a priest. He's just a guy that works in the library. And he was like, oh, good thing you came to me. Like, I got all the fucking answers. I can tell you exactly where the demon is.
You get me nervous.
And then he goes, and then they're like, hey, well, this place that you're looking for is like 1 hour away from where I'm at. And I'm like, well, how fucking convenient. That is just like 1 hour away. Then the girls go in and they're like, we're looking for fucking Maurice. And then they go see Maurice, and Maurice is all fucking, you know, already up to his ass with demons and shit. And then they split into 3 demons, which they don't, like, it makes no fucking sense. Because now you have the nun, you have the demon, and you have the fucking crazy demon that looks like an actual demon from Diablo. Right? He looks like fucking Diablo.
Okay.
So he split into 3. I get it. The fucking Trinity or whatever. The anti-Trinity. I can understand that concept. But it makes no sense because they didn't explain why this was happening. And then after that, they're like, one of the little girls, I was like super fucking smart because of course she is. And she's like,
Of course she is.
there's this place in like the cathedral that if you shine a light, the demon has like red eyes. Because they made this like window pane that whenever you look at the sunlight, when the sunlight hits in a certain way, the eyes of the demon will glow red. Well, what happens is that whenever that happens, it gives you like a little light. So then this fucking super detective nun figures out that, whoa, demon eyes may hold the eyes, right? And I'm like, how the fuck is this bitch coming? She's like the best girl at an escape room. Like, she needs no fucking clues.
Just knows.
She just fucking knows, right? So then they excavate for like 100 fucking hours because they're women and they can't fucking dig a hole to save their fucking life, right? In which they found like one of those wedge pikes from I don't even know where. They found that faster than they could dig the fucking hole.
It's convenient. Yeah.
It's like super convenient that it was there. They didn't even explain how they found it. They weren't like, oh, I think I know where one of those fucking things is. Like, conveniently, it was in the same room. Okay, whatever. They dig up. They find the eyes. So now they have the eyes. Demon goes after the fucking eyes. It was like, give me the eyes. Like, because the other guy in the church, the one that was the hookup that knew everything, like where the demon was.
Maurice.
No. Maurice is a traveler.
Oh.
Yeah, he's the possessed guy.
But no, the other guy was like, man, who knows what would happen if this fucking demon gets these eyes or whatever. So then they're like, okay, well, fuck. Let's try to get these eyes before the demon gets it. So then the nun comes out and she's trying to fucking fight the demons. Also, by the way, Maurice beats the shit out of one of the nuns. She goes through a fucking window and then she gets up like, oh my God, like, let me go back right away. I'm like, bitch, do you even know how hard it is to like...
You should be in concussion.
Yeah, you should like literally not be able to stand up now. Like, I don't care who you are. You could be, 250
Yeah, throw me through a window. I'm done,
You throw
bro.
me from in the middle of a room to a through a window to just get up and just like, like go brush it off. Like, that ain't nothing.
It's historically accurate movie magic.
Yeah, no.
Movie magic,
And then, so the demon fucking is trying to get these eyes. She's like, no, I'm gonna say some chant that doesn't even sound like a chant from the church. I'm like, who wrote this fucking script? It's like no actual praying. Like, there was no actual prayer or whatever. It was a very silly, like, 2-sentence prayer that she did. The demon just went like, brr, fucking grabbed the eyes. And then she got the eyes, like the demon took the eyes of this thing or whatever. Mm-hmm. But then our magical heroine remembers that she is of the bloodline of the saint. So whenever she did that, she was like, is this wine on the floor? Let me make a chant and then destroy the demon and burn her.
Done.
So she was family?
Yeah. She was Vin Diesel. She Vin Diesel that shit.
How come they don't use heroin anymore to describe a...
Because of drugs.
I like the word heroin.
Yeah, you probably...
Are we talking about two different things here?
I'm talking about like calling a female hero a heroine.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like I guess it's so
Like Joan of Arc.
yeah, a heroin.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's so tied up with the drugs that they can't use them. Like you could, and there's a difference.
Is a heroine somebody who's kind of like earned that though? Like
Could be.
like Wonder Woman is a heroine, I guess, in her timeline, but I mean, we gifted her those powers because she's a superhero. I mean, right? And we made it up.
She's an Amazonian.
Yeah.
I think she already had those powers.
No, I just mean like.
Well, she had to go through a ton of training
Yeah,
because they show how her mom's like,
Queen of the Amazons.
yeah, Queen of the Amazons, like had her through like rigorous training.
I watched it once and that was it. I never came back. I never
Yeah, like
watched.
she-
There was a
she
sequel,
went
wasn't there?
through-
Like 1984.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't watch that one.
I mean, it wasn't bad.
I think Gal Gadot did great, but I don't think. But I thought Gal Gadot was just maybe too small to be an Amazonian war queen. That's just me.
I think she's fine.
Yeah, she's a good looking lady. You ever watch a Barbie?
Yeah,
I
Barbie was
have
good.
not, but I already like watched the movie about the reviews. I know what the movie is about. So
What about what's your opinion on it?
I thought
It was fun.
it was fun.
You gotta go in there just saying, look, there's gonna be a Barbie movie.
I like that they respected Ken. They
Yeah.
gave him a huge part, and it wasn't just all about Barbie, just showing like some pretty girl and her struggles or whatever.
Yeah.
But they showed Ken's struggles. It was good to see that Ken has always been the number two to Barbie.
Yeah, he's always been the side.
Yeah, the side piece.
Yeah.
Nobody
The
cares
side
about
piece.
Ken. Yeah, they even said in the movie, it's just like, we don't care about Ken.
It's and the fact that they used Ryan Gosling, I was like, perfect.
I know.
Yeah,
I
it's
respect.
I like Ryan
characters.
Gosling. I like Ryan Gosling. I'm a fan.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I love that man.
No, I mean, I respect the characters. I thought the movie was. I haven't watched it, but I do know like what it's about.
Mm-hmm.
How the Kens rebelled and went to the real world, and
They try to stop Barbie
They
and all
try to
that.
stop the Barbie verse or whatever.
The Barbie verse.
Yeah, so I thought that was kind of cool. So it's like a girl boss movie, but at the same time, like it shows the struggles from like the male side as well.
Yeah, well, just I haven't seen it, but I guess it like if I'm gonna go watch it, I gotta just tell myself it's a Barbie movie.
Oh, you haven't seen it?
No.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's fine.
Okay,
I seen some
spoilers
people like
over here.
talk about it in reviews and stuff like that, and I was
Yeah.
like, at the end of the day, it's like it's a Barbie movie. I'm not gonna get mad at it.
Yeah, when I was first watching it, I was kind of getting a little bored. I was kind of like, but then as it started going and progressing, it really opened up for me.
You said you watched Oppenheimer too.
I did, yeah.
What was that fact that you told me that it was in certain theaters for IMAX and the film was shot in what millimeter?
70 millimeter film.
So it was like a big ass,
Yeah, the reels are huge. They're bigger.
the biggest
probably
room.
As big as this room. Yeah. So there's only like
70 millimeter, and
Thirty-
usually it's on 8 millimeter.
no, 8 millimeters old, 35 millimeter. But so most movies now are digital.
Okay.
Right. So
Yeah.
when Christopher Nolan shot this, he shot an IMAX 70 millimeter film, which is really rare. Most films are going to be shot in like 35 millimeter or just complete digital.
Yeah.
So you're talking really expensive film, and when you're doing a movie this long, a lot of takes. This movie took quite a bit to make.
And it's long. And
It's long.
Yeah, it's a long 3 hours, right?
Like 3.5 almost.
Jesus Christ.
So the special part about it is he shot it in like 4 different formats. I think it's like 2 formats, but you can break it down. So you have like 70 millimeter, and then he showed it in I think 35 millimeter as well, and digital, and then IMAX digital. So when you see IMAX, the IMAX part is not only the film type, but also the type of screen they put it on. It's like a huge giant screen that they're showing you because the resolution's so high.
Yeah, that's what I say. That it's kind of like having a 1080p monitor and then going to like a 1440, where
Yeah.
at 1080 you see this much, but at 1440 you're seeing this much more.
When you're seeing the movie, like a normal movie, it actually has part of it chopped to fit those screens, right? Because like the screen in a movie theater,
You see those
they have a
bars,
monitor.
yeah.
So when you're watching an IMAX, it's a huge screen. I don't know the exact dimensions, but it's like 7 stories tall or something. And so all of that real estate. So when you see,
Were
an
you
atomic
exaggerating on
bomb-
7 stories, or is it actually 7 stories?
I might be exaggerating.
Okay.
But I'm pretty sure
I mean,
it's pretty big. When you see like an atomic bomb from top to finish, you can see above the cloud. Normally, when you see the bomb blow up, you're seeing like part of it cut off. Right?
Yeah.
So like that's the beauty of it. I didn't actually get to travel to like I think San Antonio was the closest theater, or Dallas, because they were only showing it in like I want to say it was like 13 theaters in the U.S. or something, and then 35 worldwide.
Yeah, I remember that was a stat that surprised me too. You're like, there's 35 IMAX theaters,
Well, so
or those kind of theaters, and then go ahead.
it's like 35 IMAX theaters and that's that 70 millimeter film.
Yeah,
Right. So there's IMAX theaters everywhere, but they're what they call like fake IMAX or something. It's IMAX, but instead of being
It's IMAX lesser.
IMAX Light or something.
Yeah,
There's
Light.
another
I like that. Yeah,
nickname for it or something. But it's basically because the screens. It might be the IMAX film, but either the screens will be smaller or the screens will be bigger, but the film is digital.
Yeah.
So I think that's what it is actually. So when you're seeing a digital film, you're not getting the qualities of film. It's completely different. So it's very expensive not only to shoot the movie but to play the movie.
Oof.
So if you go to a one where they're showing the 70 millimeter version that's an IMAX, you have to basically fly somebody out to operate those machines because they don't actually operate those anymore. Like, because one, you can't show a 70 millimeter film if it's not shot in that, right? Like, or you could replicate it and put it on film and show it
And try to upscale it or something.
yeah, but
Yeah.
that's so they basically have to have these like OGs of the film industry come out, operate it for the run of like 2 months or
Yeah.
however long they're going to show it. So it's a pretty big thing. He does a lot of movies. I think Dunkirk was also done in that. I believe Tarantino shot The Hateful Eight in it as
Really?
well. So it's one of those things. It's like a niche thing, but a lot of people really enjoy it, seeing it. It's
The
like a treat.
experience. Yeah.
Because it's like once in a lifetime, really. Like because you go home to watch it, you're not going to watch it in that same.
You're gonna watch it in your little rinky-dink 1080p,
Exactly,
whatever,
yeah.
1440 or whatever OLED I don't know. I mean,
I think I saw it in 35 millimeter. No, sorry, I'm butchering. I don't think it was still 70. It was just non-IMAX. It was
Yeah.
like a regular screen.
yeah, I want to watch it, but 3 hours for. I mean, look, I could spend 3 hours playing video games, but that's because I'm interacting and I'm immersed. But like when I tried watching Batman, like I'd stop. Like, all right, me and Mikkel went like we watched like an hour and a half, and after a while we're like, all right, we'll come watch the rest tomorrow because just sitting 3 hours in a movie theater, like
It's a long time.
it's a long
I mean,
time.
I've had one of the servers that works with me and whatnot. He came back and he was like, "Man, I watched Oppenheimer." I'm like, he was like, "Do you know what that is?" I'm like, "Boy, I've been knowing about Oppenheimer
Been knowing,
since
yeah.
before you were born."
Manhattan
you know?
Project, yeah.
Yeah, like I've been knowing about this for a while. I've done some research on him and everything, and I tried to quiz him. I'm like, "Well, how does the hydrogen bomb work?" Yeah?
Yeah.
Or like, how does the atomic work? It's just like, ooh, I don't know. I'm like, well, how does a power plant work? Because if you that like, I'm sure they would have told you. I don't know if the movie shows you how a power plant works or not.
They don't show you how power plant works. They basically show you how the atomic bomb works because they go
Oh.
through the building of
the
it.
process.
Yeah,
do they
that-
do the H bomb too or no?
They don't know. They try to do it. They kind of explain it in the movie, but basically it's kind of a struggle because they're on a time crunch. They need to push it out pretty quickly, and so they have to make like a do or die situation. It's like, do we go with one or the other? And the H bomb is more of like it becomes a later thing.
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, they're basically the same thing, but the H bomb is you build the atomic version first, and then out of it getting overheated, it goes into the hydrogen particles, and then once those two combine, then just like shoots.
Yeah. So, I
Like-
didn't know anything about Oppenheimer going into it.
Oh, okay. So yeah.
I just knew he invented the big bomb.
Not himself.
Well, him and his
but
crew. Yeah, him and his crew. He
and
gets
his
credited
crew.
for it, but
Yeah.
only because I know from like Metal Gear. You know,
Yeah.
Kojima like gives me some little nuggets of information from history when it comes to the war and stuff.
Like the famous phrase,
I have become
Death,
the god,
they'll destroy the
death,
world.
Yeah, they'll destroy the world. So that's the part that's like the fucking conspiracy theories and all these like ancient aliens people fucking love because he read the Bharata or whatever.
What's it, Barca?
it's like the Indian.
It's
text.
like some Indian text about these gods that got in a fight with each other,
Mm-hmm.
and the hypothesis is that they use atomic bombs to destroy themselves
Oh,
back
wow.
in the ancient world. And then the Mahabharata writes down about it. And then he actually studied the Mahabharata because Oppenheimer was like crazy smart.
Yeah.
Like he knew fucking shit tons of languages. I think like 7 or 8. He knew how to speak like tons of languages, and he was read in so many subjects. He was just a weird dude.
Yeah.
But socially weird. I'm sure he wasn't that weird. I'm sure he was a very smart, very intelligent person
Yeah.
to talk to. But he says, and he even quotes in one of his interviews that he feels like he's like one of the gods that destroyed everything, and he became death himself
How does the conspiracy theory come into play?
because they like all the ancient aliens are all based on the Mahabharata because
Really?
of the Bamanas. The Bamanas were like the spaceships that the gods used to, you know, fly to space.
Really?
Yeah,
I gotta look at that one.
yeah. So that's why all they were like, oh,
They start nerding
oh,
out.
the goodies. Oh. Like, you know, this guy blew up the world, and you know he studied the ancient text, which is, you know, also the thing that I enjoy. I'm like,
Yeah.
man, that's because there's just too much of a coincidence. Like at what point in time is it not a coincidence? You know,
You
that-
believe in coincidence?
I guess like sometimes, but
Yeah, you have to, right?
well, it depends. Like,
I think
are
sometimes I feel like things happen for a reason.
are you a man of God or are you not?
Yeah, I believe in a higher power.
Okay, so if you're a man of God, you have to not believe in coincidence because God already knows where everything
The
goes,
great,
right?
the great divine.
Well,
Right, because like if God knows everything, then He already has the script for you. So if it happens, then
Yeah.
God already saw it. So it's not a coincidence at that point because if it's already scripted, then there is no coincidence, right?
Well,
Because it's already scripted.
you can believe in a creator that doesn't.
So you're saying what? That makes no sense.
Hold on.
At least
See what
to
Shane says. What are you saying, Shane?
Well, what I'm saying is like something could have created us and not known what happens. He could just make it and just put it out there.
I
Why does he
mean-
have to have known and know my thought and know what's gonna happen next? And
But that's why I asked if you were religious first.
well, you didn't ask that.
Oh, well, you asked me.
what-
You asked me.
Well,
Yeah,
you didn't
oh.
ask if you're religious. You just
Because if you're religious, you believe in religion, you believe in God, right? If you believe in the
You
the
just believe
Christian,
if there's a
in the
higher
Christian
power.
God.
I believe in a higher power. Yeah, but
Okay,
like.
so if
I think the word God is like a super loaded term because it means a lot of things to many people. But to me, when you ask me like you believe in God, I believe like when I say like a higher power, maybe it's not like a big guy with a flowy beard and sitting on a throne, not so much that, but more like some sort of like force of nature that's out in the cosmics and it just pushes things to go in the right way. I know it sounds weird, but you know, I feel like that could be like a god.
Galactus.
Like a god, I guess like a
Cthulhu.
Galactus, yeah.
Like
A Cthulhu. That's like more of a yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Cthulhu doesn't give a shit. He's not bad or good. He just doesn't care.
yeah, I mean, all I'm saying is if we're gonna go down that road, I just wanted to define the two, right?
Okay, well, I guess I'm a little bit more set in like the old ways because when I say religious, I mean religion as far as Christianity.
Yeah.
And whenever you define that term as like the Christian God is all knowing.
Yeah.
He knows everything. He already has the script for you.
Everything's set.
So if everything
Now it
is
just has to
set,
play
there's
out.
no such thing as a coincidence because he already has seen it. He already predicted it. He already know where you're going.
Yeah.
He already knew that you're gonna fuck up here. You already knew that you were gonna do good things here. So nothing is a coincidence because everything's already scripted,
Yeah.
right? If you're talking about that specific God. Now, if you're talking about any other God from any other pantheon, then maybe not.
it could
like
vary
maybe
some.
they're not all knowing. I mean,
Well, actually, maybe you could just be all knowing. Like he can know it's gonna happen, but he didn't enforce it, right? There could be a distinction between the two. Like he would know that I'm gonna drop this bottle cap, but he didn't cause me to drop. I still have the free will to cause that bottle cap to fall.
no, but okay. What I mean by that is that, well, you may think that you have the free will, and you probably do, but he already knows that you did it or that you're gonna do it. So at that point, is it really free will?
Was it like predetermined to be?
It's like you like
determinism
you're
or free
that
will?
it's free will because you're the one that's doing the action, but he already predetermined that you were gonna do that action, so that's why he's all knowing. So at one point,
Yeah, but
it's kind of like a joke at that point. Because it's not a coincidence because he's already predetermined. And I mean, we've seen it even with some things like, you see a kid, he's 7 years old, he's blowing up some shit. You're like, man, that kid's gonna end up in jail. Like, is it a coincidence that he might do that? Like, there's more than a 50-50 chance that he might. I mean, that's why like serial killer profiling is a thing, because according to like certain aspects, like you can kind of predict
Yeah, I think it's
where
kind of like
these
that.
kids might go. I'm not saying 100% that they will, but I'm saying that the likelihood that they will.
Yeah, it's kind of like
is
that
gonna
nature
be-
versus nurture.
Yeah,
like,
but is it a coincidence then that they will? But whenever you're really looking at the facts, like scientifically, I mean, for me, I should have been a serial killer with my profiling. Like, if you would have profiled everything,
or an arsonist.
like, or at least
At
some
bare
kind
minimum.
of like terrorist group or something. The fact that I'm just sitting here talking on a podcast about all this other stuff is already an achievement for me, because all of my background and everything that happened, like, single mom, not knowing your dad,
Yeah.
fucking like poverty, drugs, alcohol, like well, you name it, I have it. And like I think I'm like 99% to like Ted Bundy's profile. And I would never even think of killing someone, but
Yeah.
I mean, there's people who fit the profile. Like Dahmer was also like 75% of Bundy's profile.
Yeah, when it comes
John
to like
Ben Gacy was,
yeah, when it comes to those guys, they kind of fit a
50%.
motive, a profile.
yeah.
Do you believe that, Shane?
profiles.
Profile. Well, no, going back to like the whole predetermined and like free will things. Do you think like some things are just meant to be, they're gonna happen, or you feel like you're completely in control? There's no such thing as fate.
I mean, obviously I can't say for certain.
For
but-
sure. I mean, we're just
Yeah,
spitballing here.
I'm more on the like, sure, something probably made us. I don't think that whatever made us is determining the outcome of the coin flips that I'm
Mhm.
throwing in life. I think if there is something out there, he's just letting it ride.
Yeah,
just
whatever
seeing how it
chips
goes.
lay.
Yeah, I mean, if he is even if he is all knowing to that point, he's not all determining. All knowing and all determining to me are two different things, right?
Mm.
Like, he might know what's going to happen, but I still made the decision and the outcome. So he knew it was going to happen, but he didn't enforce it, right? Like, he didn't choose that destiny. Like, I could have went one or the other. But he knew which way.
Sometimes I think when we were talking about multiverses earlier, I think that's how like the multiverse exists. Kind of like this morning, or like when did I text you guys about coming over? The Tuesday, Thursday?
Yeah.
Like I bet you there's another universe where I didn't text y'all and we just kind of do everything else in that weekend. You know what I'm talking about? And that's why I think sometimes, I know it sounds really weird and I can't really explain it, but I just feel like that's how another way a multiverse can exist is the decisions you made or didn't make get played out somewhere else, and you just kind of, and it just happens. So
Well,
to me, it just makes it fun.
what do you think about this?
Oh.
Right? I own a rat. I make a rat labyrinth. I gave it choices. You can go here or you can go here.
Yeah.
So is it rat really making those choices, or am I making the rat follow this path? Right? So whenever you think about a higher power, whichever way you look at it, you can look at it from God's perspective or from the rat's perspective, or from your perspective. I'm gonna say, like, I own the rat,
Yeah.
and then I'm making this habitat for it, and then I'm giving it this path, and the rat chooses which path to go.
Yeah.
But no matter what, I know which way she's gonna end up.
you know all the
right? Because
outcomes.
I know all the outcomes. So at what point in time is the rat having free will, or am I the one dictating where it goes? Right? So whenever I look at it like that, I'm like, well, there is really almost no fate. There's almost no coincidence, because if God is the owner of the rat, or the rats per se, then he knows the outcome, because he's the one who created the playground
Yeah.
for us to play in.
That's one way to think about it.
Sure.
Yeah.
I mean, it's rudimentary with
But you're
how
right, like-
complex humans really are, obviously. But as a whole, or like as a theory, then there really is no.
I mean, yeah.
coincidence.
I mean, honestly, if you think about it, there could have been because I work at UPS because Travis told me about it. He's like, "Hey, I work at UPS. You want to get on with me?" Because before I worked at Fingers Furniture, and I was like, "Yeah, sure, I'll go work there." I mean, who knows what happens if that path didn't happen? And I just kept working at Fingers Furniture or something, or
Yeah,
you know what I'm talking about?
There's always there's always
The what if?
the what if, the
Yeah,
possibilities.
yeah.
I mean,
The what if
there's-
game goes deep. What if? What if?
Yeah,
What if?
I mean, I have,
You ever lose sleep
hundreds
over
of
it?
girls that are. Yeah, I think.
You ever stay up at night and be like, "What if this? What if
Yeah, I
that?" Do
think
you?
it's
Oh, yeah.
always
think
like.
I hate it. I
The night thoughts get me.
the night thoughts are the worst when you're locked in your own head.
Oh, it's so brutal.
Those are the worst when you're just locked in your own head and you're just thinking about like, what if this or what's this? And I think that's how like some of my anxiety starts, is because I just start worrying about things down the road, and and I'm glad I have like Mikkel to like kind of reel me in. She's like, don't worry about it. Whatever happens, happens. You're fine. Just do what we got to do today. And I kind of find I need that kind of balance, because if not, I'll just start getting just stuck in my own head, and then it just gets worse.
My coworker, who I used to be his boss, and the roles have kind of reversed in my current position because he helped me get my job and he's over me. So he understands me though, because back then I used to be really anxious, and he would see me face to face. We worked together, and like whenever something happens at work, I'll text him and I'll be like, "Oh man, like what do you think's gonna happen?" And he'd just be like, "Look, man, as long as you do your job and show up every day, you're good.
That's it. You're
Don't
golden,
worry.
baby.
Just enjoy your weekend."
Enjoy it.
And then I'll just like zoom out and be like, why am I worrying about this?
Yeah. Well, I'm not worrying about Monday and it's
Yeah.
Friday. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, sometimes you just need that other person's perspective to just tell you like, hey, it's really not that, you're making it a big deal.
Yeah.
Those thoughts that you have at night that are telling you you're worried about that thing you said to the person,
That you said 5 years ago.
yeah, it doesn't matter. Most people don't care.
You're right.
Yeah, you're worried, and even if something does happen, like, what are you gonna do? Worry about it all the time?
What good is that gonna do you?
What does it? It just causes stress. makes you
Yeah,
sick.
I forgot who said it, but quote is like something like, "Worrying is like paying a debt you don't owe." Like, don't worry about it. Just chill. Just go
Yeah.
with the flow. What
I
happens,
mean, that's-
happens.
When I used to do scaffolding and I would get like really high and I would get kind of scared, I'd be like, man, if I die here, well, fuck it.
Really?
I had a good time. And then like that would take.
Well, you
the
obviously had your
scare off.
harness, right? You had your harness.
You're in
and-
your 20s
Yeah,
when you're doing
but-
scaffolding.
No, man, I was not in my 20s. I was already almost 30 at that time.
Yeah.
But there was this one instance when we were working on top of this cat. So you would have to go.
What's a
10
cat?
I forgot what it's like. You see the big old burners and like some of these oil.
Those big old
the-
smoke,
the
burn
flare?
stacks, flare stacks,
with the
whatever.
stacks or
Yeah.
whatever. Yeah, it's what you would do is that sometimes there would be parts of them that were getting bad or rusty or whatever. So you have to build the scaffold all the way like 20 stories high to break this piece of concrete and then get this plate out, and then you have to put this
The
new
new one
plate
in.
and then put the concrete back on it. So then whenever they build that scaffold, you would have to go 10 stories up and then build the scaffold from there and then go another like 10 stories.
Really?
And well, I was still I would maybe have been working there like 2 or 3 months, and they were like, "Hey, are you afraid of heights?" I'm like, "No," and they were like, "Well, get up there," because nobody wants to demo that fucking scaffold.
Great.
So the thing about demoing that scaffold is that you have 2 rails, a leg, and then you're taking all the rails out. So sometimes you just have no rails to stand on. You have no
Oh.
rails to hold on right here.
Yeah.
You're just standing on it, and then you're trying to take off the legs, and the legs are 12 feet. So you have to take off the leg and then quickly like shimmy it down. But then after you shimmy it down, you run out of leg, so you have nothing to hold.
Oh
So-
god.
Who
so
are you giving the leg to? Is there somebody under you?
somebody under you.
And you're always just passing the pieces down?
Just
Yeah, like
relay
you're-
it down.
You're on 2 feet like that, and then you take off the leg comes off, and then you give them the leg. But after you hand them the leg, you have nothing else to hold
hang
on
on
to
to.
because there's nothing around you. So you're supposed to just hand it down and then try to like get on grab on the thing like that,
Really?
and then get down and get the other rails out, and then get the other leg.
And when do you take the 2x4s off or whatever the 2x6
Oh, the 2x4s go first. Yeah.
No, well, you're standing on them, right?
No, you're standing on the sides.
Oh, just like the metal scaffolding.
The metal
Right,
frame, the
yeah.
skeleton.
Yeah,
Oh.
on the side. Yeah, you're not.
Damn.
Yeah, it fucking sucks. Like talking about your asshole being in your hand, like Jesus Christ. Like you're so fucking scared. And then the air just like moves
You
the
can feel
whole
it.
scaffold like this and you're just sitting there like, man, I hope this harness works. Like,
Is scaffolding the most efficient way to repair things?
fuck, who knows?
Can we
The
use cranes?
But the thing about the scaffolding is that it's cheap, right? Like you buy these pieces of iron and they fucking
boards.
last forever. The boards are reusable, like the whole thing
That's
is
true.
reusable.
Do they keep the scaffolding at the plants, or is it like the company takes the scaffolding?
I guess
from
they
you?
get don't they get
everything's-
contractors?
Everything is like you could either have a company that owns the scaffolds and bring the scaffolds and then you just hire the builders, or B, the company already has the scaffolds and they have the builders. So like I've worked with companies that, you know, all our scaffolding was one color. So
Yeah.
you know that, you know, that was a company that was building certain areas. Like, you know, sometimes it would be all red, sometimes it would be all yellow. And then, you know, we couldn't mix the scaffolds or
Yeah.
whatever. So, you know, that's how they knew whose company was what. But then I had other places that they would, you know, get the scaffolds from local companies and then they would loan them out to us and then we would just build. Like in Dallas, we built inside a warehouse and this warehouse was huge. And we had to build like 5 or 6 feet, oh no, 5 or 6 stories inside the warehouse in order for us to repair like this roof or whatever.
Really?
And it was pretty tall. It was a massive scaffold.
You guys don't do the repairs though, right? You're just building. it
No,
for the
we just
builders.
build it for them.
Yeah.
We don't actually do the repairs.
Yeah.
But we had this one brace that was like 30 feet long and it was super heavy. And we had to put it to reinforce the scaffold. And man, that one was really tough because we had to have multiple people grabbing this thing like across 30 feet and then having to like pin it in there and everything. And yeah, that was like.
How do you know how? Is it just the same build replicated across every scaffold?
No.
Depends on the building and
It
the
depends on
and the floor.
The lead is and depends on the man. There's some scaffolds that I'm just telling you that shit is just scary. That like sometimes there's a guy that comes and he's like, hey, I need you to kick off of this area and then build me a scaffold under this area. So you're just grabbing to the side of the building and you have to determine the weight and you have to determine how much material to use because you don't want it to be too heavy where the scaffold is going to bend and it's going to drop the guy working on this thing. So you have to like super reinforce it or, you know, do whatever. But that all comes with the lead man because the lead man is the one that's going to have to do it. But you build the kickoff and then after the kickoff, you have to build the thing and then you have to build the box that's going to like, because let's say that you're on top of a building right here, right? And then they want you to kick off right here and then they want you to build a scaffold under this platform. So that's where you're trying to kick off and then build the platform and then build the floor in order for this person to fix like this area right here.
Yeah.
And those ones are hard.
Jeez.
Yeah. Because then you're literally just banking on that rail to not give up because if he gives out, like the whole thing comes down. So you have to like super reinforce it, have multiple things to kick off of. Like, yeah, those ones are scary.
I gotta go pee. You know, I would take a break.
Sure.
Okay. BRB, guys.
It's infinite dollars. I said something about like, yeah, I gotta fix my pool, and he was like, "You have a pool? You're rich." And I was like, "Sure, you know how much money I make. I'm not rich."
It's a pull.
But you make money off your side hustles.
Look, the IRS is listening now.
Do you
Why do you guys think people listen? Like nobody listens. Like only people that listen is like me, or like when I'm like, editing the podcast and like random. Like I guess when you guys like no one listens.
Yeah.
Now, if I ever make it big and people listen, that's something different.
That's what I'm saying.
But by then, I don't think the IRS cares.
My company is okay. It's not doing phenomenal. It pays right now. It's
I thought you were the owner.
yeah. So there's when I
So
say,
you're the CEO?
No, he works on multiple things. He has like companies and different things.
Oh, okay.
so I work for I have a day job,
There you
9 to
go.
5,
Day job.
and then
And you
I own
moonlight?
my own company.
Okay. Oh, okay. I thought you just owned your own company, and you just made money from that.
Like, you thought that was my normal job?
Yeah.
No.
I was like, man, he's like his own boss. He's real lucrative. I'm like, damn, bro.
He could, but he doesn't want to leave his 9 to 5.
What's a good? Is
My
it good
9 to
paying
5
9 to 5?
Yes, it's
Yeah.
stable.
My 9 to 5 pays well too. So
Yeah,
170,000 apparently.
but
I don't make
his-
170,000, but they tell me I make
His
170,000.
company could make tons of money if he was sitting there just taking calls and going and doing bids.
His
But
personal.
yes, but instead he wants to be on the computer doing nothing, where he could be making like hundreds of thousands of dollars.
But you would have to hire people though, right?
Yeah.
And then you have to hire them, insure them, and I don't even know how the whole
You
process
don't
of that
freaking
works.
insure. What?
No, you have to insure them.
Well, you do now?
Well, yeah. I
I've
mean, it
never
can't-
been.
Don't you want insurance?
No,
Fuck,
not
you
help.
I ran conduit from this guy. I was on top of a freaking men lift with like 4 stories up high with no harness, and he's just like, "Vic, can you get up there?" It's like, "Yeah, I can get up there, I guess."
I guess.
And we ran the conduit like all throughout, because we were running these like electrical wires like through like the top of this warehouse, and we did that all like bare none. Like, I don't even think he knew how to do the man lift at the time.
Yeah,
we
I
just
didn't.
kind of
I
like
had no
figured it
idea.
out.
It wasn't our man lift.
Yeah, we just got on this man
The
lift.
painters were in the same building, and we were just like,
Hey, can we borrow
well, we can use ladder. No, they weren't there.
it?
Yeah, just went, touch a button, turn on. All right.
Just like that?
Yeah, we got on
Like
this
that.
man lift. It was like, I guess this rabbit means going fast and this turtle means going slow. Like, I guess.
Oh, fuck it. We'll see what happens.
I remember
brother.
like giving him whiplash because it would go really fast. And if you've never hit a throttle, you know, it's like your first time driving a car, it would just jump
Yeah.
forward, you know.
Yeah.
Have you thought about making like your own business, like going bigger like that, hiring employees and shit?
Yeah, of course. I mean, so when I started my own business, it was really just a way to put together some resources. Like, a lot of people ask me, you know, like, hey, I know you do network cabling. You used to do that full time. You know,
Lane
Instagram."
cable.
Yeah, lane cable. Can you do jobs? So instead of just passing the jobs off to other people in the industry, I would just take them myself. But I have some friends, thankfully, that I work with that you know, I'll sub them out and I'll say, hey, here's the job, go do it. Like when you came by yesterday, that's actually what I was talking to him about.
Yeah.
It was kind of a smaller job. Basically, if I would promote myself and actually go out there and hustle, I would make infinite dollars. But I'm kind of scared.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I don't want to, like, I have a real job, so I can't really go and do that while I'm working. But,
Mhm.
you know, if I would maybe hire somebody and have them run the show, then it'd be fine. But if I always have that what if, like, what if it doesn't work? What if I don't make it?
Yeah, I get that what if, and it shuts me down sometimes. I'm like, you need to get past that, Rick. Just go for it.
Man, so I have this guy. He's a regular customer at my job.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what he does for a living?
Yeah.
He buys cars and then sells them.
And flips them.
Flips them. Like,
Yeah?
right away. He doesn't do anything to them. He doesn't repair them. He doesn't do anything. The whole day, he's just scrounging up all these cars.
Really?
He buys them and then he sells them to like Automax or like, you know, all these other car companies. And he just makes a little bit off of them, like
As long as you make a percentage,
500,
right?
600, you know, $1,000 sometimes, 500, 600. But he flips so many cars throughout the week
Yeah.
that he probably makes about, man, like $6,000 a week,
Have you thought about getting in business with that?
or like even more. Like, he's making like $100K a year, you know. And all he doesn't do anything. He doesn't go pick up the cars. He doesn't move them. He doesn't have his tow truck. He's literally just buying cars and just making the small dividends, like off of the cars. So if he can flip it for an extra $500 or $600, he'll go and buy it. And he goes and buys it, makes that little transaction. The little transaction makes him $600, and I mean, fucking.
So
$600.
he goes to like what, private dealers, private
He
sellers?
just
Like some
all-
people
all day.
because you know how sometimes you see cars like on the parking lot for sale.
Like, we'll buy your car, whatever. He goes back, he haggles them down, gets somebody to go pick it up, and that person goes and
Drops it
sells
off
it
to
to
dealers.
the other place where he already made the deal for.
Yeah.
He makes the deal for that, and then he, you know, makes like $500-$600. I mean, to be honest, you make $500 or $600 a day. That's already more than like
A lot of people, like
more
the
more
50% of the
people that-
Americans.
yeah, like, so if you're doing one transaction, even 2 transactions a day, where you're able to
Yeah, if you're
do
making
that,
$500 a day, you're in a good spot.
yeah, he's probably making more. And I'm like, man, that's so crazy. Like
Do they
that's
still worry about taxes?
obviously,
Yeah.
like obviously,
Yeah.
you're gonna have to have your, you know, you
Yeah,
have to
your
document it, all
paperwork
your
and
transactions, all your-
financials.
yeah, and eventually, like you're gonna have to give, you know,
Uncle Sam is cut.
Uncle Sam is
You can
good.
try to dodge it, but it'll.
That shit.
They'll catch up.
Death
to
and
you,
taxes,
yeah.
baby.
Yeah.
Death
They're
and
not running.
taxes. I was thinking about what you told me last night about how, because I told Shane that this area is only Comcast, and it says it could be AT&T, but they would have to lease the pipes from Comcast.
Yeah.
And but then they're like, if there's not enough money, they're not even gonna build their own pipes, right?
Yeah. So if you go to move to a house and you notice there are certain providers there, they either own the pipe that is coming to the house or the neighborhood, or they're renting it. So Comcast, they paid for the infrastructure, they laid the pipe, they own that infrastructure.
Yeah.
Right? It's not AT&T's. It's not it's not a community thing. In some areas, it might be a municipality or whatever
Yeah.
it's called. But yeah. So what for? I don't know what you get here, AT&T or Comcast.
Comcast.
Yeah. So like, if AT&T wanted to start selling in this neighborhood, they could maybe provide phone service and go over the phone lines, because that everybody can use that. But
Yeah.
as far as copper, yeah, they have to rent. So like what big, I was telling you yesterday, is like big cities. Whenever I would have to like sell that, somebody say, "Hey, I need fiber internet at my location. Hook me up." First thing I do is I'd call the vendors. I'd call Comcast, call AT&T, call the reps. And I'd say, "Hey," and there's a bunch of companies that do it. Those are the big ones you know of. There's actually a lot of different fiber providers or whatever. And I would say, "Hey, this building needs 10 gig or whatever." And they say, "Okay, let me see the closest, where we're at." And they'd see how far it is, and they say, "Okay, let me send a person to go do a bid." They'd measure, "Oh, we're 5 miles out. It's going to cost
X amount.
X thousands of dollars to build it out." We'll waive the cost if it's a big enough contract.
Yeah.
If it's just like a small $150 a month, no, you have to pay for that, right? But if it was like a hospital or something, you're gonna need, a redundant circuit, a backup circuit, whatever. Yeah, if they're big enough, they'll build it. But what they'll tell you too is they'll rent the line. So if it's a place where they just can't build, it's gonna be $100,000 to break ground, right? They're like, that's too expensive.
It's not. They're not making. There's not enough
It's not-
ROI.
They'll go to Comcast and say, "Hey, we have a customer. They're there. They want AT&T. We'll work it out in the background." The customer doesn't know any of this. The customer
Yeah.
just gets a bill.
Yeah.
But really, what's happening is Comcast is paying AT&T, or AT&T is paying Comcast, or whoever, and they're paying for that space to basically give you internet. But you're really just getting internet from Comcast.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that because Mikhail told me like, yeah, there's only Comcast. We can't get AT&T because that's what we're stuck with. And we're like, what's the reason why? And then you're right. I guess they own the pipe.
Yeah.
And it depends if
Yeah,
AT&T finds it worthy enough to
build it out.
Yeah, to build it out. If not,
So if you're lucky enough to live in a neighborhood that offers both, either AT&T or whoever made a deal, or they went ahead and spent the money to build the infrastructure. So.
but that's more like a newer places, like newer residential that are coming up,
So
right?
nowadays back when this was all being done, there wasn't a lot of foresight, I think, until what fiber was going to be. They were just like, all right, there's a neighborhood, let's build some copper, no big deal. And then once they started realizing, hey, there's a lot of money to be made in providing,
Yeah, 'cause I think this house was built like in this area, like in the 70s. So that long before.
yeah, in the 70s, they weren't
Yeah.
thinking about internet to every
Yeah.
house. Right?
They weren't thinking about, oh, Rick's gonna want to be streaming one day, or he's gonna be doing
Yeah.
podcasts and uploading.
They were barely even thinking about AC at that time.
Yeah.
They're like, hey,
Yeah, so like when we build new buildings, well, I don't build them, but when I would be involved in them,
Yeah.
the contractors would come out, and I would call up AT&T or Comcast or whoever, CBON, and I would say, "Hey, I need your internet here. Can you guys build out?" And they'd go, "How far along is the project?" And they'd come out, "Is there concrete?" "No." "Okay, cool, yeah, we'll run everything." Not a big deal.
Yeah.
If the building's already established, all the things paved and
More
everything,
difficult.
that's more difficult. There's more money involved.
Yeah.
So
Having to break
it's-
up and dig and going in there. Yeah.
if it's a big building with multi-tenants, it's they might be interested. So then they'll work deals and the customer won't have to pay on the back end. But sometimes they do. Sometimes I've presented deals to customers, and it's like, if you want this, you got to pay 20 grand. And
Yeah.
the customer's like, okay, that's fine. They have to pay for the construction cost. Yeah, most of the time they say no. But
Is there a big difference? Is it really important to have options when it comes to these, or they're all kind of the same?
it's very important to have options.
Yeah?
Right. So You have to understand what kind of industry you're in, though, right? So if you're in the medical industry, right, you need 24/7 redundancy, right? You can't be down because somebody's life is on the line. That's important.
For sure.
So you have to have a a failover, right? So you typically with a failover, you don't want to have the same circuit, right? You don't want to have AT&T as your main and your backup because obviously if it goes down, if it gets cut, then you're down. Right?
Yeah.
So you got to have like for example, Comcast on one, AT&T on the other. So sometimes you'll have both companies coming into actually a majority of like hospitals, whatever, will have two circuits with different providers.
Mm-hmm.
So it's very important to have the opportunity to go with different and because they also provide different SLAs like coverage. Like if something happens, how fast are they going to respond? Like kind of like what you're paying for, what you're getting. So some companies are better than others. Some support, some people like AT&T support is awful.
Is it?
Yeah, Comcast not so bad, but their network is great. But calling and having to get your stuff fixed, it's like pulling teeth.
They outsource it to India?
No, they
Depends.
just don't answer the phone. Yeah,
Yeah, the problem goes away. You just don't answer the phone.
yeah, they
They'll
just
go.
fed like there's a bunch of virtual menus. Your whole time sucks.
Oh, like that. The automated tellers and stuff like that. Automated operators and shit like that.
Yeah, at least was my experience back then. I would have customers that would tell me like I am not going. I don't care if AT&T is in this area. I'm not going with AT&T just based on personal experience.
Damn.
So they would pay the construction cost to have fiber built out. So, yeah.
Fiber? That's the standard?
Fiber optics.
Yeah.
You could get copper is okay, but it only goes so fast. So to say, right? There's limits. Fiber gets greater speeds. So if you want a 10 gig pipe, which means you can get up to 10 gig speeds, you're not going to necessarily use all 10 gig.
Yeah.
You're going to want to go with something like fiber. You can achieve things like that with copper, but there's more limitations. So the other thing too is I believe the amount you can travel on fiber. I'm not 200% on this, but
Yeah.
is better than copper. Like how far
Mhm.
you have to create nodes in between. I think
Yeah.
I could be butchering that, but it's more reliable too. There's more issues with copper. There's degradation. I think with fiber, it's a lot easier to repair, I believe, and cheaper. We're talking glass over
Metal.
copper. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's just it's literally light speeds because it's light traveling. So
Yeah.
a lot.
Was that a decision you had to come up with when you got your place? You had to look into like, all right, do I have fiber? Do I have copper pipes or what?
It was a consideration.
Yeah.
I did not want to move into a place that didn't have fiber because I knew I was going to be working from home. But ultimately, I made the decision to just kind of live with it because my family chose the house.
Yeah.
I didn't want to live in a house with a pool and all that because it's maintenance.
Do you like the
It's-
pool?
That's expensive.
What's the pool party? There's no pool party.
There's no pool.
Come on, it'll be
He
me and Vic.
invited me to his house for a pool party.
Oh, yeah?
And it just got as far as the invite. Like it never really manifest.
Why not? It was a housewarming party?
No, it was just
He
like,
was
hey,
just
come
like,
over.
hey, you should
You wanna
come
hang
over
out?
Saturday. Then like I called him Saturday and he's just like never picked up. I'm
Dang,
like, oh.
you just got AT&T'd by Shane, bro.
Yeah. He put me on the hold. And then he gets mad when I don't answer his text messages. I'm like, all right.
You can't answer your.
The bear is hard. It is tough. Texting is tough on it too.
Yeah.
I have to do it by memory.
You should just get like a flip phone.
The thing is that whenever I got this phone, I got it because my other phone went bad. That
I'm gonna buy you a case for your next phone, bro. Let me know what your next phone is. I'll get you a case, dude.
Because
I'll order
So
it
I
on Amazon.
had-
You'll get it in 2 days.
yeah, so I had this phone. I bought it for like $100, and then I told him I was like, hey, I want a case for this phone.
What's your background?
Some babe.
Yeah.
I don't want to show that on the camera.
Pick it up.
They all know.
They all know. It's all classy.
Yeah, it's a
Well, there's-
painting.
It's art.
Yeah. So I told the guy that was selling the phone, I was like, hey, do you have a case for this phone? He's like, nah, I don't think so. But you can go to Best Buy, and I'm like, well, that's nice salesmanship. Instead of trying to order one for me, try to rip me off for more money, you're over here telling me to go to another store
Right.
that I don't want to go to.
I'm trying to give you my business,
I'm trying
bro.
to give you my business, and you're just telling me no. I'm like, yeah, fuck it, I'm not gonna. And then I dropped it from like here to there,
Oh,
and
no.
the phone just shattered.
Wow.
And I was like, son of a.
You see the new
bitch.
iPhones?
Tell you, I don't fuck with iPhones.
Why not?
I hate them.
Fine.
They suck ass. They have tiny little. Their keyboard is tiny. Their fucking.
I even got the
screen is
mini one.
tiny.
I like the
they're just-
mini.
No, I'm just.
You want something big in your hand,
I want bulky.
something big.
They suck. They don't have a back button.
They're getting a new Seaport now. You saw that?
I love how that's exciting.
Is it? I guess that's just a selling point. Oh no, they're playing. On some of them, they're. I know you don't care much, but they're playing like Resident Evil 4 and like what are the games they're playing? Death Stranding. They're putting like they're integrating the graphics chip.
Yeah, you were mentioning that to me. Actually, I haven't seen the. I was watching Marcus Brownlee's video on it. That I think it's on not on the Pro, maybe some of the lower models. They have C, but their transfer speeds are like worse than Thunderbolt or something.
Really?
It's like C 2.0 or 2.0 speeds, I think. And it's like if you get the Pro Max or whatever the highest version is, I think they bumped it up to actual whatever the fastest speed they can have. I don't know the name, but kind of sucks because you think you're like, oh, we're finally upgrading the USB-C, like we're here, we've made it, and they kind of just kick you in the teeth. It's like, yeah, you got the port,
You got the poor man.
yeah. So next season though, we might give you that.
We
So
might.
well, I noticed with Apple, I actually pointed out in this video and I didn't realize it. So the regular gen is usually
I'm gonna move this up real quick.
last gen's Pro. So the chip that you're going to get in like the Pro Max and all the features was going to be last year's. But if you buy the Pro Max, that's the newest feature, right? So maybe next year we'll have the faster port. Like it'll still be USB-C, but it'll be 3.0 speeds.
They're showing a yearly release, right? When it comes to iPhones, it's
Yes.
always every year.
Yeah, but then they have the product lines, right? Like you have the Mini, you have the one that I have, and the Pro and Pro
Yeah.
Max. It's a bigger screen. So the difference is like the Pro now. So last year's Pro has the island, whereas the regular one didn't.
Oh yeah, the little.
Yeah, so I don't have that one, right? Because I bought a 14 because my phone. I changed companies and I had a company phone.
Mhm.
So I was like, all right, I'll upgrade. I haven't bought a phone in forever.
Yeah.
But it was like an extra $100 to get the island. And I was just like, that's the biggest difference. Like a little bit of chip speed and
Was it
an
worth it?
island. No, I didn't. I just got the smaller phone.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't really care about phones.
At the end of the day, as long as it kind of texts and receives calls and is reliable, that's like all I really care for.
Well, I did have the Google Pixel 2.
Oh yeah.
And
What you think of it?
I may not freaking love the phone.
Yeah. Wait, that's the one that's like a super badass camera, right?
It's like this big. I was playing the Pokemon the stadium, wasn't it?
Pokemon Go.
Go.
No, the one where you're doing like League of Legends with a Pokemon.
Oh, Excite or something? Or
I haven't seen that one. Like a
uh,
MOBA or something like that with
Yeah.
Pokemon.
Yeah,
I haven't seen that one.
you haven't seen that one?
I've seen it. I didn't play it, but I know what you're talking about.
Was the cash cow gotcha?
It's kinda, but not. I mean, it's a MOBA.
Hey, man,
MOBA.
take a phone call real quick.
Yeah, sure.
Hello?
You're playing your role. You have a jungler. You have a solo laner, and then like two top or I mean two that do like a dual lane or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
and it's 5v5. You go up against each other. You're trying to kill little Pokemon to get a score, and then you're trying to score into the people's bases,
Really?
and then whoever has the most score.
Okay, so
wins
it's
the game.
freaking Pokemon League of Legends.
Yeah, it's Pokemon League of Legends. Yeah,
How's work been?
Pokemon Unite.
That's what it is.
Yeah,
Pokemon Unite.
Yeah, I know it's like a 4 to 5 letter word.
Yeah. How's work been?
Slow
Really?
right now. Yeah.
Why
So
slow?
because people are going back to school. When people go back to school, it just chops the market.
You think it's because the inflation, everything's just being more expensive?
It's also that too, but
Just between me and Mikkel, just us two, our food bill sometimes goes anywhere between like 200 and at worst up to like sometimes 300.
Talking a week? Month,
Yeah,
2
a week.
weeks?
Groceries.
Week? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, but we do eat, like, try to eat like steaks and fresh vegetables and fruit. I think the worst part is the water. I think the water is the most marked up
You
thing.
consume so much water.
I know.
It is insane.
it's so I bought 2 T-bone steaks for $35
Yeah?
the other day, and that to me is like freaking insane.
It's crazy how expensive meat has gotten.
Yeah.
This seems like a lot because that's only gonna be one day. I remember when I was like, man, we gotta eat cheap. We thought cheap was less than $10 for a meal for like $7. I thought it's like cheap, and even burgers were cheap. you know. But now I go and get a burger from
Oh
Whataburger
yeah.
is like $16. I'm
Yeah, like
Jesus.
yeah, I think like
Wow.
me and Mikkel was like $25 at Burger King. I'm like, what? 25,
Burger
27?
King?
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Of all
It's
places.
supposed to be cheap.
Yeah,
Yeah.
fast. No.
Yeah, that's
I mean,
not,
it was-
no
yeah.
longer.
Everything's expensive. Like yeah, especially when it comes to like meat. It's just
And I hate the restaurants around Channelview, man.
Yeah?
Like half the staff does not give a fuck. I tell them not to put something, they still put it in there. I tell them to put something, they
Yeah.
don't put it in there, and then they're all rude and shit, and they're high as fuck. Like I don't even.
they're all
know-
kids.
They're not even kids. It's like older people too.
Really?
I'm just like, hey, because every time I go and get burgers, I always max them out.
Yeah.
Like, hey, jack cheese, bacon, like avocado, put some
Everything.
jalapeno in there, and then I get back home and it's like a plain ass fucking burger. I'm like, bro,
One
you
pickle.
tacked on like $4 fucking
One
dollars
tomato.
for this shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's probably why it's stuck. I think when the food bills super high like that, I guess you really feel it like in the service industry, like at restaurants and stuff, because they can't afford even groceries. The restaurants for sure take
I
a
have
hit.
a ton of regulars though. Like,
Mm.
I have tons of regulars, and I'm super grateful for them because as soon as I come in and I see them, I'm like, well, fuck. At least I'm gonna make out all right.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah, but whenever I don't see them, I'm like, fuck.
It's gonna be a lean. It's gonna be a lean night.
It's gonna be a long fucking night.
What kind of person regularly goes to a steakhouse though?
Retirees mostly.
Is it because they're bored and lonely?
No, like so.
Some of them-
You got to remember that the restaurant market is viewed in so many different ways that you guys, you would not believe.
Okay.
You want to build like one of my managers or like the owners of this company that I used to work at. He's like, Vic, if your restaurant is not within a mile of a Starbucks, don't fucking build it.
Really?
Because he's like, because so many people travel to the Starbucks, they're gonna see your restaurant, they're gonna get curious, and eventually they're gonna turn around and then come and go.
One
to
day
your
they'll be
restaurant.
hungry enough.
Right, because eventually they're just seeing it's like, man, I've seen this place pop up. So his strategy was that you want to build it in an area where you're gonna get the eyes, and eventually you're gonna start getting the
Business comes
the
in.
business
Yeah.
coming in, and then all you have to do is retain that business and grow, right? But another restaurant owner always told me, Vic, don't build your building where the sun's beating up on it. Build it on the other side of the street.
Yeah.
So even things like that, you wouldn't think about it. But for him, he was like, never build your restaurant where the sun's beating up on it.
Yeah, because it'll go through the windows and hit the customers, the patrons in the face.
And then not only that, like you have the wear damage.
That's
on
true,
it.
yeah.
You like there's so many things. So even just little things like
The
that.
positioning of the restaurant.
The positioning of the restaurant, the positioning of where in the street you're building the restaurant. Those are all things that you have to consider. Our store is built next to hotels, and it's built next to the Port of Houston. So all these people that are coming in from different places, they come in, they want to eat a steak. They come into Texas, it's like the big Texas thing. So
Yeah.
they want to come in and eat everything cowboy, everything, steak related or everything Texas related. You name everything after Texas, people fucking buy it just because it's,
'Cause Texas-
you give it a silly name and it's Texas. And that's what sells. I mean,
Yeah.
the more silly that you get, the more that you sell. Look at Torchy's. All their fucking tacos, they all have the Republican, the
trailer
the
trash.
trailer trash,
Yeah.
the tranny, like all this other.
What's in the tranny? What's in the tranny?
I'm just saying they have fucking silly names for their fucking tacos, and they're like super progressive, right? Like they have gender neutral bathrooms. At Torchy's.
Interesting.
Anybody can go to any bathroom.
Wait, gender neutral, private or public?
Public.
I mean, obviously they're in public. I mean, like single stall or multi stall.
I don't fucking know. I don't go to that shit.
It's just a big old trough.
Yeah.
I was like, I can't trust it now. I don't know where the fuck to pee. I don't know if
You-
peeing is correct here now.
European.
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 Yeah, they have a bunch of silliness.
That would be great to put on a bathroom stall.
What?
European.
European on my boots. What's torches around here?
There's a bunch of them.
There's a bunch of Torchies.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there was before. I don't know if there are anymore.
I would say if I had to guess, there'd probably be like 5 in the
Where's the
entire
cl-
Houston area.
Where's the closest Torchies? I don't know.
There's one in
There's one in Bay Area.
Bay Area.
Are they good? Like honestly good. Like
It's okay.
it's okay.
I
They
would
used to be really good. I mean, but they're expensive as fuck. It's like
No.
$5 or $6 a taco.
I'll go to taqueria.
yeah, it's not taqueria food.
Oh.
It's like jazzed up.
Tex-Mex.
Yeah. I mean,
No.
they have some things that are pretty good. I mean, I actually enjoy they have like Maine root beer.
Really?
You know what that is, Maine root?
No.
It's like just like a private soda company. So they don't
Oh.
just sell like Coke products.
Oh,
or
okay.
Pepsi.
I thought it was like a type of root beer or something. Oh.
No. It's all built with like cane sugar or whatever.
Oh.
So if I do go there, I enjoy their fountain drinks. Yeah.
No, and the whole thing is that they're selling you a concept, and the concept is really cool. The concept is you go in, you feel this kind of like Austin kind of weird vibe,
Yeah.
you know, the colors and everything, the progressiveness. All the tacos are named something silly.
Yeah.
And then the bartender goes like, "Oh yeah, you like that menu? What about the secret menu? Have you ever heard about the secret menu?"
Secret
and then
menu.
all of a sudden they're like, "Ooh,
A secret menu.
You're like, "Ooh, what is this matador in the secret menu?" And then you're like ordering this secret menu that's not really secret, but then you're buying into the culture, right?
Ah.
You're buying into the like trying to become a regular, trying to like know the secrets about all this shit. So all of these things play into what it is to sell the restaurant, right? Because you don't want to just be the regular basic bitch that's just ordering off of the regular menu. Nah, you want to know like
want the
what
good
the
tacos.
fuck is up, you know?
Secret tacos.
Yeah, you've seen the cockiness with these people too. They come in, they're like, "Hey, I want to get zucchini," and they're like, "What?" It's like, "Well, how do you know about this fucking zucchini?"
Oh,
They're
wow.
like, "It's in the off menu.
Oh.
Go ahead." And so like they've and I have them always like, "Hey, I want barbecue like shrimp and brochette." It's like that shit's not on the menu, you know. But
They're
people
like,
come in and they're like, "I know it's in there. It's fucking secret.
I've seen the TikTok.
I've seen it. It's secret.
I think
I've
they're
seen it."
TikTok. Oh god.
And they do. I mean, they do have it a lot of the time.
What's your TikTok handle, Victor?
I don't have TikTok.
What?
I don't have Facebook either.
What about you, Shane?
I don't do
No, TikTok. Get the fuck out of here. I'm almost 40. I ain't got no fucking TikTok.
Yeah, I got rid of all social media except I have Messenger and I just use it to communicate.
No, for me, TikTok is just a thing that rots your brain. Like, I'm just saying it from my point of view. I
Yeah.
can understand all these people that love it, you know, whatever the dance.
Oh, I like when people say, "Oh, I get educational stuff." I'm like, "Get the fuck out of here!"
Yeah,
Get the no, you don't.
Okay, if you're on a TikTok hole, you're gonna watch 30 TikToks. I bet you from the time you started, if I quote you, I'm like, "Hey, what was your third video that you watched?" You're probably not gonna remember it. It's because it's very improbable. Like nobody's brain. There's
It just
people's brains
bombards
that-
you.
Yeah, but most people's brains is not able to completely store all that information because all that information is 60 seconds, 30 seconds,
Yeah.
you know, 40 seconds. So how many 40-second videos can you possibly remember? It has to make an impact.
For sure.
Like it has to be something where you're watching and then
Like,
boom,
ooh.
like somebody gets in an accident. And you're like, "Whoa, fuck." You know,
Yeah.
let me tweet or whatever. And
Talk,
like,
tick, tick.
tick, tack. Like, give it to somebody else. It's like, "Oh, that's fucking crazy," right? But I bet you the previous 10 videos that you watch that were just some random basic bitch fucking moving around, you probably don't remember them.
Yeah.
Like, you don't remember her at all, or you know, whatever. And to me, that's a waste of RAM. Like, I don't have that much RAM. Like, it's not like.
I can only
have
process
100
so
gigs.
much.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
like
can only process
100
so
gigs
much.
of pornography. Like I got like a terabyte of pornography saved up. Like, and I'm gonna remember
are
every
rookie
single
numbers.
one of those videos.
Those are rookie numbers.
Those are rookie numbers.
Yeah, I was talking to Shane about that last night. How it's like everything's about getting it soon, right away, instant gratification. I mean, we're talking about how Amazon's like you get in 2 days, sometimes one, right? Because you say there's a warehouse like down the street
Yeah,
from your house.
they're 5 minutes from my house.
Yeah,
So if I order I can get it on Sunday. That's when I knew things had changed. The
Yeah.
game had changed. When I ordered something on a Sunday and I got it in an hour,
yeah.
I said, "What is this?" And I'd see the post guy delivering too, and I'd be like,
I know on a Sunday, and I feel
Sunday.
bad. I'm like,
"What day
bro,
do you
I don't need
have
my.
off?"
I feel bad for them because like, bro, I don't need my turmeric. Like my
Yeah.
I order vitamins sometimes, and they'll come like on a Sunday. I'm like, it's okay, guys. I can wait till Monday.
Yeah.
But I think that's like where like the cultural changes happen, because remember back in the day when you used to like order something. I don't want to say that, but you order something and you write the check,
Fucking
you
2
send
weeks.
send it in for 4 to 6. Yeah, it'll come back in the mail, and 6 to 8 weeks later. You know what I'm talking
Yeah.
about? That used to be the norm. Used to when I was a kid.
Well, we used to order cards off of like card shark.
Oh, yeah.
We used
Yeah.
to
You have to wait.
We used to use eBay. It was
Mhm.
like, hey, let me give you this money for these cards, Shane.
Yeah.
And fucking like after the tournament, like 2 tournaments later,
they show
we would
up.
Get them. They're like, oh,
Yeah.
I finally got your cards, Vic. It's like
The beauty of that is you back then you could actually use those cards in 12 tournaments later. Now everything evolves so fast. You get those cards 2 weeks later,
yeah.
it's too late.
They got
Deck's
the
obsolete.
metas change, baby.
The cards are too busted. They banned a card already. Like you ordered 4 Ragavans, they show up 2 weeks later. Yeah, they're banned.
Oh, great.
I can't use them
You can't
now.
return them? No. But yeah, I was talking to Shane about how everything now is meant to be get it right away, but bombard you or just have it delivered. I think people kind of like forget to like, okay, it's not
I mean,
always that way.
eventually-
Sometimes you have to just go with the pace, stop, chill.
It's raised everybody's expectations with a lot of things. Though. So I think a lot more people are becoming more impatient because they just don't understand that like sometimes you just gotta wait for stuff, and that's okay.
How do you feel when it comes to like streaming shows? Because I know some people are like, I'm of the mindset of when like they're streaming a show, if they do it like a weekly episodic release, I prefer that. So you got kind of like you watch
The
an episode
build-up.
and you enjoy it and digest it and maybe watch it again if you miss something. But I know some people are like, oh, no, I just want all the shows all at once and I'm going to binge watch it. And to me, like, to each their own, of course. But I feel like if you're just going to just binge all the show, like, you're not going to like soak in this information. It's just going to go in one and out the other. I mean, you guys, how do you feel about that?
I'm a consumer.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll be honest.
I'm a fucking consumer. Look at me.
Yeah, I want to see it all at once.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to no stop until I'm tired and falling asleep, and I pass out in front of the
So it's
TV.
3 a.m. and you're
Yeah.
watching one more episode.
Yeah, but I've been doing that for years. Like back when I was a kid, I was downloading anime off the internet, allegedly. You know.
Livewire.
And yeah, I would just watch all of it at once. I wouldn't wait. Like, yeah, I'm either way though. Like, when I was watching Dragon Ball Z as a kid, I would be sitting there like super excited, like next time, and you're like, all right, I can't wait till it comes out.
And it's a filler episode.
But the anticipation for me though, I want to know what happens next, and if I
Yeah.
have the ability to know, I'm gonna take advantage of it. So
Yeah, I'm opposite. I prefer like I'm okay with weekly episodic releases. That way I can like just enjoy it. Let's soak.
what I will say, okay, do you get the same feeling? I get sad when something I love ends. So like when I watch like Death Note, right, and I'm getting towards the end, and I already years ago, right,
Yeah.
and I saw it ending, and
One of my favorites, by the way.
it was great. I'm just like, wow, well, I don't want to watch a new one. I want to watch more of that one, and it's like a relationship I just got broken up with.
Just got dumped on, bro.
So when you do consume all of it at once, you do kind of ruin it faster. So when you spread it out, you do get to enjoy it more.
Yeah.
You know.
So I mean, I'm kind of like in the fence with it because I do love when they release the whole show and I get to just watch it if it's good. Like, some
What's the
people
latest
might
watch?
not like Stranger Things, but I do enjoy it. Especially the last season of Stranger Things, I actually enjoyed it a little bit more than I should have probably. But I thought it was pretty nice. So they released it in 2 segments. That was actually kind of cool. So
Yeah.
that means that I got to binge like half of it and then later on got to binge the half of it again. That was pretty cool. I mean, The Last of Us was like a weekly thing. And whenever Game of Thrones was a thing
Yeah.
back in the day, we used to have the watch parties
Oh,
for Game
yeah.
of Thrones and everything.
And everybody talk about it Monday morning.
Yeah, it becomes like a little culture stuff. And
Yeah.
it's kind of cool.
That's the
But
part I
then,
did like.
The hermit in me is always like, yeah, like, no, I gotta watch
You're
them all
feeding-
by myself now.
you're-
Like, fuck everybody, Like, fuck this. Because, man, the culture of it, too, was fucking shit. Because back in the day, I used to have a Facebook. Every Monday, if
Oh,
I didn't
God.
watch it on Sunday, I'm, like, staying
Stay
away
away.
from fucking Facebook. I'm
They'll
like, they're
spoil it.
gonna spoil the
They'll
fuck
meme the
out
shit out of it, yeah.
Somebody's gonna meme it. Somebody's gonna, like, post about it. And so I would just stay away from Facebook, like, all of Monday until I got to watch it. And it's like, all right, now I'll get my crack again. Like, I can hit this Facebook again.
You guys ever watch a show without your girlfriend or wife, and she's like, I can't believe you watched it without me.
Yeah.
And you're like, well, told you I was gonna watch. You gonna get some of that?
I have to set
It's
terms
like
now.
Yeah? How'd that
super
work?
Cheating.
So
Super cheating.
It's super
How's it go
cheating.
with you, Shane?
so I used to do
It's like, why
that.
can't you just fuck dudes and like leave their show to us? It's like fuck.
It's
What
not
if
like
I could, bitch.
Yeah, mine's more like, there'll be a show, we'll talk about it, and then I'll start to watch it. She'll, catch me watching it. Like, well, I thought we were gonna watch it together. We didn't agree to that, right? We never said that. So now we just basically have this thing when a new show comes out, we're just like, are we gonna watch it together?
Okay.
Just lay it on the table, and then she'll be like, well, are you?
You sign an agreement. You send her like a fucking e-letter.
Yeah,
And
she
has to
he's
sign-
Please confirm.
She has a DocuSign it.
Please confirm. Yeah.
It usually works out that way.
Yeah.
But we have this bad habit is I'm not always available. Right?
Mm.
Like I have to go to work at a certain time. She has to go to work at a certain time. But maybe I need to go run some errands. So if I'm not there to watch, she gets annoyed and she'll watch without me.
Ah.
So yeah, that's why we had to come up with the contract.
Okay. To agree.
Yeah.
Those are your shows. These are her shows, and these are the shows that we'll watch
Yeah.
together. Yeah.
Yeah, because there's some shows that I just don't have that much interest in, and I'll just be like, yeah, go
ahead.
crazy.
Yeah.
And then sometimes I'll watch one of those shows, and then I'll just find myself there for 3 hours, just like, okay, I like this show now. Now I got to go watch 3 seasons to catch up.
Yeah.
How about you, Vic? How's it work out?
I mean, there's shows like I got, the mother of my son and I we watched Arcane together.
Oh yeah.
I had watched like the first episode and I was like, "Whoa, this is so cool!"
I really like
maybe
animation.
she'll appreciate,
Yeah.
the show. And I showed her it, and she got like hooked on it.
Yeah.
So she like her and I like we finished the whole season. We watched Sweet Tooth.
Where's
Oh,
the Sweet Tooth?
It's like
Was that the one with Twisted Metal? Did they make a
No.
TV
They
show?
did make a TV show, but I didn't
It's
watch
not
it.
called Sweet Tooth.
I like that one too.
Okay.
So Sweet Tooth is one where they're living in like this weird post-apocalyptic world where kids are born like with like semi-animal species in between them,
Oh,
and then this kid is he's like half reindeer or something.
really?
Yeah, and then they call him Sweet Tooth because he likes candy.
Yeah.
And the guy who rescues him starts calling him Sweet Tooth or whatever. So
Yeah.
I watched the first season of that. That was kind of cool.
You watch it by yourself, or you watch it with
No, I
your
watched
partner?
it with her.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then let's see which other one. Oh, The Walking Dead. We were like big time into The Walking Dead.
Walking Dead, like the first. I don't know when they got to the point where they got to prison and they introduced a governor, and then I think they took a break and they came back. By then I was like, okay, I think I'm done.
Wasn't that like the 3rd or 4th season?
I think so.
Well-
And then the governor came back again, not his backstory. But then I was like, I already checked out. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, I checked that out like I
The,
said.
the
So-
zombie genre, I think, just got oversaturated.
That one, the problem with that series is that it went on for too long, and then people wanted to get paid more, or they
Mm.
wanted to get paid as much as like the lead co-star or whatever. And
Yeah, because I think that's what happened. Like the very first season, which was what, like 3 episodes or something, it was really massive. They got a big production, but then I guess they realized to keep running the show, you gotta for the extras, the makeup, the
They
paying
got
for
rid
everything.
of like Frank Darabont or something, right? After the first season.
No, well the thing is that the actual show goes for a comic book, so they already have the script. They just have to put it into
Motion,
motion.
yeah,
So they
live action, whatever.
they
Yeah.
changed up a little bit or whatever. Like I've heard that there was like different people getting killed at different times
Yeah,
in the show rather than like in the comic books.
Yeah.
And I think some people were missing limbs and maybe missing like an eye or something.
Yeah.
But essentially it goes by what the comic book is.
yeah. I think it's pretty truthful for the
To
most part. Yeah.
Yeah, to the comic book. But I know that every time somebody asks for a raise, they just like kill them off. So that it's like, oh, you asked for a raise, we're just gonna kill you the next episode.
Popeyes,
So,
Carl.
yeah, so eventually they just started killing off like the old cast, and then they just got a bunch of like new people.
Yeah, that's why I feel like shows like you watched Breaking Bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel that was a good spot. You had 5 seasons to tell your story and not too much. And then if you want later on, make some spin-offs like Better Call Saul and stuff like that. I think that works. I've never seen that.
El Camino.
El Camino. Oh, that's with Aaron
I heard
Paul.
about that.
Yeah.
Is it good?
It's
It's a
good.
movie?
It's a little short. Yeah, I think it's a movie.
Okay.
Yeah.
What'd you think of it?
It's fine.
Yeah.
It's good. It's good to see some of the characters again. So
Yeah, I think Aaron Paul says his name.
I'm pretty sure it's Aaron Paul. Yeah.
Yeah, I think he mentioned something about how like they're not getting anything, or at least he's not getting anything or peanuts from like like streaming services like Netflix, because
Nobody
Netflix
is. Nobody
that's going to be a
is.
new thing for when it comes to the contracts,
That's,
right?
That's why the whole strike thing started.
Yes.
Because
I thought it was AI.
That's
well, that
Part of
too.
it. Yeah.
Well, there's like multi facets of it.
All right, give me one. Give me one of the faucets.
One of them is because these writers are using AI to fill up the scripts, and I think that's why movies are coming out like shit.
Yeah.
Where there's just like no substance being added to like the story, because they're just filling it up with AI. There's just like
Yeah.
random kid A shows up in random kid B.
Yeah, I think they use like the AI to make like the skeleton of the whole premise, and then they'll hire a couple of writers to come flesh out the rest of it or finish it off, something like that. Yeah.
So that's why there's series or there are scenes where there's a lot of information, and then there's just like diarrhea for like an hour, and then like another scene that means something, and then more diarrhea, and then like paper, like toilet paper at the end or whatever, to just wipe off the diarrhea. But I mean, that's not a script, right? Like, it's just bullshit. You would have failed in English class if you try to turn that in.
Yeah.
So that's one of the things that they're fighting. They're fighting the whole AI thing with the scripts. They're fighting
all those streaming services.
The streaming services not paying people. That's why that Rachel Segler bitch was like, "Oh, I want to get paid every hour that Snow White is being streamed online."
Oh yeah,
whatever,
the
right?
new Snow White from Disney.
Yeah, she wanted to get paid for every hour because her movie was gonna go straight to Disney Plus. It was not gonna hit theaters, and they get paid according to
the box office.
Box office scores.
Yeah.
So and then how much they make in the box office. So if it's gonna go straight to streaming, then she's
less revenue.
Get paid. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what happened with that's what happened with Scarlett Johansson, right? Because her movie Black Widow was already canned, ready to go out, but then the pandemic happened.
And they showed it online.
And they showed it online, and she said, "No, our contract was per box. It's supposed to come on the box office." And I'm glad that.
I think they honored it, right?
Yeah, I think they honored it. Yeah, but it kind of makes you think like, would Disney have pulled this stuff if it was Chris Hemsworth movie or Robert Downey Jr.'s movie?
No.
You think they did just because it's ScarJo and they had to go push over?
Good question.
So the third thing is that they're trying to fight not getting paid for your likeness.
Yeah.
So the Nun, which is actually kind of funny that this whole thing is happening, but the lady who's a nun, she was not getting paid for all of the toys that were made to her likeness.
Yeah.
She wasn't getting paid for like the
merchandise,
the merch,
the
like
shirt,
all of those
cups, whatever.
And she had a very minimum amount of money for just her image, because that's basically like she's not really acting all that much, right? Like she's just kind of acting.
Yeah.
So her contract isn't huge. But then everything that came with it, like all the merch and stuff, like she wasn't getting any of that money.
No revenue on that.
And then they're using AI, or no, they're using like some kind of CGI to put in people.
Oh yeah, use it for like
and using them for
like in crowded scenes.
Yeah, in crowd scenes.
Yeah.
So people
Extras.
who were getting extras, they're losing their job because they just kind of use people's likeness, and then you just like copy and paste it into these things. And they're also getting mad about that because you're not making any money off of that either.
Yeah, I thought it was completely weird how they're on strike, and then you had like Drew Barrymore and Bill Maher. They're like, yeah, we're gonna just make a show anyway. And I'm thinking like, I thought you're supposed to like stand in solidarity. Yeah, so it's like,
what was their show?
I think Bill Maher has Politically Incorrect, or Real Politics. I don't know what, but Bill Maher has one on Showtime or HBO, and I forgot what Drew Barrymore was, but I think they're.
Who cares about this fucking?
Not that I really care, but I'm more upset about the fact that they're actually like you're literally a scab now. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
It's like
some of the conspiracies that I've heard right now is that they want to break Hollywood because they want it to be a merger in cahoots with whatever, and they're trying to merge several companies.
Like
So
you
they're
mean like
tryna-
like Universal and Paramount
Right.
and stuff like that?
Yeah, like they're trying to do like a giant merger, but they have to break Hollywood apart first
Wait,
in order for the merger to happen.
so well, how about things like when you have like that? Don't they have like one with Disney and no, like Time Warner
Well, everything
and all
is
that?
owned by BlackRock.
Yeah, there's like two. There's
and-
really like two companies, right?
Yeah, like BlackRock and what was the other one?
I don't know.
There's like two companies that that own a lot of everything,
Yeah,
and then
yeah. But
That's
I
it.
think they're trying to do a merger between both of them,
Jesus Christ,
or like Amazon and Google and stuff too.
really?
Like, I think that's what people were like having the hypothesis.
We need to get high one day and just go down conspiracy theories, rabbit holes.
I mean, that's fine, but
We'll take
mean,
so
I
much
just-
mushrooms.
and it really just started out with the whole Disney thing, because if you look back 15 years ago, I remember there was like Disney conquering the world timeline. There was like a meme that had
They were buying
Mickey-
everything.
Yeah, and they were buying everything. They were buying Star Wars and buying all this stuff.
Star Wars,
They were like
X-Men.
having the hypothesis that like by 2040 Disney was gonna own everything,
Yeah.
right? But now, fuck no, they
I
can't
thi-
even own their own company. They
Yeah.
already sold everything out. They already sold Star Wars. They already sold
Who they sell Star
Pixar.
Wars to?
back to Lucas.
Did they? Or was it some of its stuff? Some of the, I don't know.
No,
I did
wouldn't
hear
say-
stories. I did hear stories about they were talking about because they had so many losses because they're bleeding money on the streaming services.
Not even the streaming. So every single
The streaming
movie,
service sucked
like
at
in
first.
the past 2 years that they
been-
have tanked.
Yeah.
They've been flops. Yeah.
Although, I like 789.
Do you?
Kylo Ren
Kylo Ren.
tugs in my
Uh,
heartstrings.
Adam Driver.
Adam Driver, dude. So great.
He's a good actor. I'll give him that. He's a good actor. But Kylo Ren just felt like he's just a whiny little kid to me.
Yeah, but that's fine.
That's what he is. He's supposed to be that, right?
Sometimes you just want that character.
Which one's Kylo Ren?
He's the main Sith in 789.
What's
Oh.
his name? Sith?
Oh,
No. Kylo Ren.
Kylo Ren, yeah.
I thought he had like a Sith name or something like that.
No,
Oh, you're talking about the Star Wars movies. You
Yeah.
like that guy
yeah.
with the big old Junos?
He's Jewish,
I'm
I
not
think.
gonna say that. I mean,
With a very dominant nose.
I mean, he has a
Pretty
nose.
dominant.
Yeah. yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, I thought they were okay, but they're not my favorite.
yeah, no, definitely not my favorite. Best thing is I can enjoy it when it's bad sometimes. I don't necessarily think it's awful. Is it as great as the other ones? No, I love Jar Jar Binks.
Did you really?
Misa.
I liked Jar Jar.
Jar Jar. Everybody hates on Jar Jar. Also, have you heard the theory about him being the secret Sith Lord?
Like he's actually the one who put Palpatine in power and shit like
Yeah.
that. That and
There's actually some evidence to support that, by the way. In
Really?
the movie. Yeah.
okay, I could go down that rabbit hole. I
Yeah.
would definitely go down that rabbit hole.
Yeah. There's like a couple videos you should watch.
That's what we should do. We should just find evidence of rabbit holes
Yeah.
and conspiracy theories. Just bring them to the table. I know you talked about that, like wanting to do that with like
Metal Gear.
Metal Gear, yeah, and all the stuff that goes on with that, which is a lot.
Yeah, no, I mean that. One of the funny ones that I've been watching was did you hear about the alien attack in Peru?
Oh, little mummified aliens?
No, the big, like the big grays, the tall grays.
No, I heard about the little. But also, I think the one I'm talking about was like a little hoax. They show the little alien bodies and stuff like that, and it turns out they're just using old like bones from cadavers to place them together. And
I don't remember what they were made of, but the guy who presented them, the same ones, he presented them years ago.
yeah,
And he was just like representing.
he's just going to another government. He's like, hey, look what I got here, guys.
And they're
Yeah,
like, hey, we know who you are.
yeah, you're that dude. Yeah.
No, so there was this thing that happened. I think it was early June, maybe. There was these kids were filming outside and they saw this crash happen in their backyard, and it was in Vegas. And when they went to go see what the hell was going on, these freaking tall beings got out of this spaceship that they had crashed, got into like a tractor or like a backhoe.
Yeah.
And they were trying, like the thing was trying to like operate it, but he didn't know how the fuck to operate the tractor. So this kid is like calling 911, and he's just like, dude, like there's these fucking beings. They don't look human. They're like 8 or 9 feet tall. They're gray. They have these scary looking eyes. One of them is in my tractor in the backyard. Like, can you guys please come and like fucking sort this shit out because I'm scared or whatever. Well, they have a video from them where the dad like the dad was Hispanic and the kid is over there filming. Well, they go outside in the backyard and they don't notice, but there's a fucking alien like right behind the fence. But you can't really tell unless you slow down the video and he's like poking through the fence, like seeing like, oh, these motherfuckers like
They looking
like
for me.
yeah, they're looking for me, but he just like is peering through the fence and they just miss him because they just go straight forward.
And it's videos on the internet.
Yeah, yeah. So
And it happened.
That's from the Vegas. Yeah, from the Vegas incident. And the kid is fucking terrified because these people keep on harassing him, and he's like, "Man, I called because I was scared. I didn't call because I wanted
Attention.
to
Or
get
anything.
attention
Yeah.
or become famous or anything like that." And they're completely terrified, and they want to get out of the spotlight. They don't want anything to do with it. So that happened in like June, but then in early August these freaking things is like the same things, like the same 9-10 foot tall aliens pop up in Peru. And they there was a guy that saw one of them. He got blasted in the face with one of their guns
Really?
and it melted his face off, so they call them the face peelers down in Peru. And I saw a video of the authorities like dragging this guy's body, and you can see like chunks of flesh like coming off of him like on his side, and his face is like a skeleton, like scorpion skeleton.
Yeah.
Yeah, like that freaking bald is crazy. And this guy, I mean, the a medical professional was looking at the video, and the reason why he thinks is not a hoax, he doesn't say that it isn't, but the reason why he thinks is kind of weird is because when they were dragging his body, one of the cops accidentally moved his shoulder out of his socket, so you can see it go like pop off.
Really?
And yeah, and then the guy goes like, "Man, I don't know if you guys know or have experienced what it feels like to have your shoulder pop out of your socket, but it's not necessarily a nice feeling." So even if he was faking, for him to go through the pain for no reason, and then
Dislocate his shoulder?
Yeah, like dislocate his shoulder like that.
Did you hear about any of that, Shane?
The Vegas thing, yes, but I'm pretty sure they proved that one wasn't true. By it was like my understanding of it was there was some kind of flash of light that really did happen. Like either a meteor shower or something happened. So they caught that on film, and I believe that was caught on like a Ring camera.
Yeah.
Then they tried to claim that something was driving their tractor. But I think they were able to disprove through satellite imagery that it wasn't, not like after that happened, nothing happened. But also mysteriously, the same Ring camera that's looking at their parking lot is missing the footage of the thing driving the tractor. So whenever the guys get on TV and they say, "Hey, we want y'all to stop looking into this. It's really emotionally damaging us." I'm pretty sure it's because they got called out on their bullshit. And they're like, "Please stop. We realize this is the problem now."
Yeah.
And I think that's what happened. It ended up, I stopped following it once I saw like a clip of somebody like Penguin
Started
Zero.
debunking it. Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm not gonna for 100% certain say.
And
that-
you watched the video, the one that I'm telling you about, the one that
I haven't seen the one with the Indian. I mean,
No,
the
the
alien in the fence playing peekaboo. I haven't seen that one yet.
dude. That was
Creepy.
crazy. It's really crazy.
So you believe in aliens?
I think that you're foolish to think that aliens don't exist in some form whatsoever. But whether or not they're in spaceships and they're traveling and visiting, yeah, I don't know. I don't think an alien has made it to Earth necessarily. It's possible. I just don't believe it yet. Or if they have, they're being very covert about it, because that's something that like you can try to hide that, but people would panic. It would be mass hysteria. But yeah, I mean, I think there's bajillion planets out there with some form of life out there, so those would technically be aliens.
Why do you think it'll be mass hysteria?
What would you do if you saw an 8-foot tall thing? You would run and tell 1 million people.
It would change everything, right? Would people have thought about what was set in law?
You think the FBI
Or
is going to show
physics?
up in seconds to hide this alien and sweep it under the rug? No, the people would be on every camera phone they could have, and they'd be streaming it. And there would be also, how many cameras? You have like 6 cameras outside. Your neighbor probably has 6 cameras outside. There's a bajillion house cameras now. So and it would be on the Ring app that I get. So I'm I have a Ring camera and I see all the notifications from the neighborhood
Yeah.
whenever something happens, like, oh, somebody's car was broken down 2 streets away.
Yeah.
You don't think somebody would say, like, show up, gray alien? You know, you can say that the government is going to hide that information or whatever, and go behind the scenes and get people to
But there's so
recant
many
their
eyes
fervor.
now. Yeah.
But yeah, there's just too much. You can't hide it. And you think aliens are only landing in cornfields where there's no cameras? Like, that's silly.
I think the day when aliens arrive and show up, it's gonna be a kind of like that 9/11 day where, like, where were you that day when that happens? I think it's gonna be one of those things where everybody's gonna be like, oh shit. Everybody's gonna recall what happens when they arrive. Or, I mean, I'm not saying it will happen, but okay, it will happen. But eventually when it does, people are gonna be like, oh yeah, I remember that day when they showed up. It was 10,
Yeah.
whatever it was, 10/11 or what, 10/20, 10/30 or whatever, whatever. But yeah.
Like, did it happen 100 years ago, 50 years ago, and they're like the Roswell stuff? It's very possible. And then that could be true. But do I think they've come recently? I mean, I think it's.
You ever heard about the Brazilian Roswell?
The one in Virginia or something like that?
Yeah, in Brazil?
Yeah.
That one is
Virginia, I think they say.
the one where
Obviously, so then you believe in aliens too, right, Vic?
well,
What's your thought process when it comes to them existing? If they exist.
so there are several different things that governments have been saying now. You know, we've always known about the Russian Black Book or whatever that lists all the different like species of aliens and stuff like that. We know about Roswell, but then even before then, we know about the alien contact that the military people had in England. We know that there was a Roswell that happened in Germany, which is why they created a lot of the stuff that they came up with from World War One, having a propeller as your main, like the Red Baron with a fucking propeller, and then all of a sudden you fucking have jets within what, like 10 years.
So the
20 years, right?
the
Like,
technological
The
advancements.
technology went so crazy haywire out of nowhere, and it just happened to be after the Germans had recovered like what they believed
craft.
was a craft, right? They reverse engineered it, and I mean, watch Oppenheimer. Most of those scientists were German,
Yeah.
so
Oh,
we know that like a lot of these guys like. All the technology came from Germany and basically reshaped the world that we're living in right now. Came from recovered craft basically because it got reverse engineered. So I mean, if you look from before, even if you talk about gods, you can look at any pantheon. Like all those guys sound like aliens. They sound like beings that are not born here.
The celestial beings that come from
Right.
the sky.
Yeah, like they
And
all
visit
sound,
us.
They all sound like aliens to me. They don't sound like except for the reptilians, which people think they live underground or whatever.
Do they?
Well, I mean, that for the Mexican culture, we do have many sightings of reptile beings. I can't call them aliens because I don't know what they are, but I have heard of stories where people go to caves and they hear that like a god lives there and is like a giant like reptile looking being
Really?
that lives there and whatnot.
Like a bipedal anthropomorphized.
Right.
Uh,
Yeah, and that likes to eat people or and doesn't like leave your side and shit like that. Like
Yeah.
I've heard of beings that live in caves in certain parts, and but I can't say whether they're an alien species or not.
Yeah.
So that's one of the things. There was a video that roamed around the internet back in the early days of the internet, like 2002, called the Lacerda Files. And the Lacerda Files was the story about a reptilian that met with this guy from Norway. They just kind of met each other from the woods or whatever. And this reptilian lady, like, she told them about how she basically lived in the like amongst us to monitor the society. Like I guess she was doing like social studies on
Yeah.
humans.
Wait, so what are reptilians supposed? I've heard there's theories about this, but like people actually believe there's like a subculture of beings that live underground that are like another society, or
It's because it gets so so implemented in so many things that it's kind of hard to pinpoint. Like some things overlap other things, right? Like the journey to the center of the earth. Like you have the the guy who was like a Navy general or whatever that was flying over Antarctica. He saw a hole, went through the hole or whatever, or saw these like spaceships that came out of the hole. He followed one of them, like magnetized him. He went there and he met these watchers or whatever those people were. And then you talk about them, and he describes them as just like regular, people that were a little bit taller, more prettier, or whatever. And then you also hear about the reptilians from the Lacerda Files, because the Lacerda Files talks about how the reptilian race was actually the race that was from Earth, but they weren't really from Earth. She said that they were from other planets, but they were colonizing the planets here
Really?
on the planet Earth. And eventually, what she says is that there was another alien beings that came from another place that merged their DNA with monkey DNA and eventually started creating humans, but they were here first. And then from there, there was like some kind of tribal wars that happened and whatnot, and they ended up going underground and then just stayed on the ground while the humans were, out in the earth.
You ever think about like ancient civilizations, like when you see pyramids, like not only the Egypts, but some like in Central America and some like in like South America and stuff like that. You guys ever think about that stuff?
Like why they're on different continents.
Yeah. You think it just happened that maybe cultures just decided, hey, a pyramid is a good place to worship our god, and they built it, or what?
I think, yeah, there's definitely some interesting things there. First of all, how old are those pyramids? Like, how old are the Aztecian pyramids?
I'll Google it.
Well,
I'll Google it while you continue talking.
12,000. So
yeah, I think so.
okay. The reason I ask is because you could make some argument that somebody from like another culture took a boat ride, and came over here and then helped influence that in some way.
So just looking at Google, Mesoamerica peoples built pyramids from around 1000 BC up until the time of the Spanish conquest in the early 16th century.
They say it's all there.
But that's just me just looking on Google, so I take it with a grain of salt.
Yeah.
Oh, so what is?
Hold on, would you finish?
theory-
Hold on. Did you finish?
I mean, I don't know. To be honest, I'm sure some anthropologist or whoever can, I know that's the right person that studies it, but could explain it better than I could. But I guess my theory on it is it's either a big coincidence, or somebody somehow. I don't think it's too far fetched to think that I can stack some stones and come up with a pyramid. I mean, it's a pretty simple shape.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like we're seeing like real technology come out of it. Like,
Oh, chain. Yeah,
I just
need
feel-
a lot. You need to study a lot more on pyramids if you think it's just.
I just feel like the size, like the pyramids, like the ones in Egypt, because they're pretty massive, and they say it took just to get the stones. That's why I'm kind of like curious, like how do you move those stones,
Yeah.
and prop them up there? Because at a certain point, it's like, is
Not
it just
even just the stones, it's the level of the cutting of the stones. I mean, some of these stones are
Real
put
precise?
together super precise where nothing can even fit in between them. If you stack bricks, even if you stack bricks with no mortar, with any, anything like that, you will have some kind of porous.
there'll be some
line.
plays?
Right.
Yeah.
Like some of these places have like cutting edge corners where there's nothing can fit through them, not even air.
Yeah.
That they're put together with quartz on top of that. Like, how the fuck are you gonna cut?
So
quartz
what do you
out
think,
of-
Victor? Do you think someone built them a long time? Like, do you think another civilization, like before?
Well, the running theory is, at least from the ones that I have gathered,
Mm-hmm.
have always been the ancient Atlantis and Lemuria,
Mm-hmm.
and then the
What's Lemuria?
So Atlantis was a country that was owned by a larger continent named Lemuria. And Lemuria was in between like where Mexico is
Uh-huh.
and then where like all these other continents are. So it's kind of like in the middle of the Pacific Ocean.
Okay, the Pacific. Okay.
Well, no, the Atlantic Ocean.
Okay.
So it was like a giant place right here, and then Atlantis was like right here, and then this is Africa, and this is like South America over here, because everything was not obviously like everything was shaping like a big Pangea, and then everything started
expanding.
Is shifting,
Yeah,
shifting off.
that's like millions of years ago, though, right?
More like. Okay,
'Cause
so the
that-
way that they're saying it, as far as like the Lemuria theory and the Atlantis theory, is that there's a thing that happens every like 13,000 years, and the thing is that the Earth spins in an axis, but at some point the Earth stops and has to like realign. But whenever the Earth stops, that means that everything stops. And right now, you and me are going hundreds of miles an hour right now because the Earth is moving and we're moving with the Earth. We don't feel it, but we really are if you think about it like that. But if Earth stops spinning, everything will like, it's kind of like you just hit the brakes on the car and
everything just flies.
Like
and
everything will like everything was like freaking oceans will like cause huge waves, like volcanoes explode, and all kinds of crazy shit happens.
I have to like just. I don't want to say you're wrong, but
Well, I mean,
are you
they
talking about
could be
magnetic fields? Or are you talking? Because I don't think the Earth spinning is stop spinning and then restart spinning is what you're describing. I think you're describing how the magnetic fields flip.
You can watch
like the pole.
The poles do flip. That has been proven, and they flip every so many. They were actually we are due for a flip pretty soon.
right.
And like that's the thing people worry about is like all the satellites work like supposedly.
Well, I watched a show on YouTube called the Y-Files.
Mm-hmm.
So if you have time, they talk about a bunch of different conspiracy theories and like all kinds of
Wi-Fi, like
the Wi-Fi. Yes. And they touch on many of these subjects. They talk about the Lemuria, the Earth, like inner Earth conspiracies.
It's on YouTube.
Yeah, I like him. The other one is Mr. Mystic, I think.
Mr. Beast.
No, Mystic, I think is the name. He also talks about the inner Earth conspiracies. He has tons of them.
I like stuff like that.
But the Y-Files, they come on every Friday. And you can watch a lot of these things, and they talk about how the Earth can stop rotating and what happens if it stops rotating. And they believe that a lot of this had to do with the last 13,000 years, whenever they believe that Atlantis was a thing, that they had technology. But then what some people believe, and this is not the Y-File saying it, this is other people, other different like people making theories, is that they believe that there was an ancient civilization that had the technology to make all these pyramids, and whenever their civilization died, they kind of got spread into different places. That's why you see certain areas of the world that have the same technology, kind of looks the same, but they're creating these pyramids, and these people are the ones that had the technology to build all that. Machu Picchu, you know, the Stonehenge. You got all the other
Easter Island heads and stuff.
Yes,
like that,
all these other all these people have those technologies.
They all have pieces of the puzzle.
Pieces of the puzzle. They all
and then try to make it fit. Interesting.
And that's why they believe that there was like a continent right in the middle called Lemuria, and those are the people that had the technologies. But then whenever Lemuria and Atlantis got into a huge fight, where Atlantis bombed the fuck out of the Lemurians, and then the Lemurians bombed the fuck out of Atlantis, and then they just kind of destroyed each other.
Yeah, have you seen the theory? I don't know if it's called the Eye of the Sahara. It's like a.
Oh yeah, where Atlantis is.
Yeah, supposedly where Atlantis is, like that big star. You can see it from space.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that well, whether or not that's Atlantis, I'm not saying. But
yeah.
It is a place that you can. It's a giant circle. When you're in space, you can see it from the satellites, and if you zoom in on it, they think now it's all sand, but they think that was all water at one point. That could be where Atlantis was,
or some sort of ancient city,
or some kind of ancient city. Yeah.
Well, also the Greek philosophers that talk about where Atlantis is like literally right there in that Eye of the Sahara.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Dang. That's something I think about too. Is like not only just ancient civilization, but like things like gravity and time. It's like I was talking to Mikhail, I was like, I could snap my finger, and that's it. That'll never happen. Like that moment happened. You don't get time back, and it's kind of like, what generates it? Where's it coming from? Where does it go?
Well, time is a man-made concept, right?
Is it?
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
you can't quantify time, can you?
I don't know. Yeah. I mean, we could measure it like in seconds, minutes, hours,
Yeah,
but
that's our choosing.
yeah, but as for like, yeah, but it's like we're never getting it back. There's never going to be another 9/16/2023
Yeah,
Sure.
again.
Yeah.
unless it all loops somewhere else.
Yeah, it loops.
It loops again.
You can come back.
Yeah, but no, I get what you're saying.
But yeah, so that's not the thing about like, and gravity, like what actually makes gravity to pull force, a force to make something to pull it in, and I'm sure that's probably like some string theorists could like break it down for me and shit, but I'm not like, these forces that we just go about our day, talking, eating
Like,
tacos and shit.
What is the study? Physics, whatever. String theory. Yeah. Well, like
Physicist?
no,
Quantum physics?
quantum theory.
Yeah.
Right? So like we used to think that like an atom was only made up of certain proton, neutron, electron, but it goes further, right? Like we started learning about quarks and shit, and like what if it goes further?
Yeah.
Like it just that's as far as we can see, right?
Yeah, we're limited to our technology.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we don't really know. So I can't for certainty say that Vic's wrong about some of these crazy theories or I'm right or anything, right?
Yeah.
'Cause you just don't know. Like you can hypothesize, but there could be just more to it that we just don't know. We only have so much information. In 100 years, 200 years, there might be stuff that we thought was fact that's just false.
Yeah.
So it is pretty, like I'll stay up at night and I'll just be thinking like about all the universes and all the theory, the stuff that's out there, and I was like, like, is there a God? Is there not a God? If there is a God, why hasn't he showed himself? Like I go through it and it drives me insane. I can't fall asleep.
Yeah, well, especially when they say it started with the Big Bang and the universe is still expanding. I'm like, how do you expanding into what? A big white void, and it's just taking over with
Yeah.
with-
Is the outskirts white?
yeah, like what? Yeah, how? What is it? Like I try to wrap my mind around it.
I don't know
It's
if you
like
guys-
I don't think I have.
I don't know if you guys want to hear. So that's one belief. The belief that it keeps expanding, but they're actually thinking that eventually it's gonna come to a stop and then it's gonna come back in.
It's gonna start shrinking a little bit.
Yes, I mean, we'll be fucking super dead by then, but eventually it's not gonna expand. Eventually it's gonna come back, and it's gonna come back into
Its original
one
point.
again, right? So then everything is gonna go back into the Big Bang, basically.
That's nuts.
Yeah.
That would be insane.
You ever think about consciousness and then like what happens when you go to sleep or when you die?
Yeah. All
Like,
the time.
does it go back into the earth? Does it go back into like, because there's something that animates us, that makes us move and makes us alive, and makes Victor Victor and makes Shane
It's
Shane,
the brain impulses.
But you're such a party downer.
Yeah, I quantify it. It's,
That-
yeah, once you're dead,
you
you're
just
dead.
boil it down. That's it. Like it's just blank.
That's
Nothing.
it. That's what I want. I don't want to exist outside of my body. When
And
I
come
die,
back?
I want to die.
That's it.
Yeah, who wants to
You ever been unconscious before? Like blacked out or fainted? I have once.
just been asleep?
I stayed up way too late, and I was on vacation, and the next morning I had to go do a physical, and they had taken out blood. They're taking out blood, and then when I see blood, I'm out like a light. I just scream. So I just look down like
You see others' blood or your blood?
my blood,
Okay.
or any blood actually, like lots of like large, like copious amount of blood, like in live, like it's a movie, whatever, but like, anyways. So I saw my blood coming out, and like next thing I know, the lady like, hey, like, and everything was black and white, and the color came back and everything.
Did you remember anything?
No,
No.
I just remember being out. So it has me thinking,
So it's
If
no
you're
personal
gone-
videos for you.
yeah. So it's like if you're just gone, you're just gone. Is that what happens? Because and that's just me just passing out.
Have you ever seen
You
a
know?
dead body, Rick?
I think I saw like in criminal justice class they were doing like an autopsy and stuff like that, and that made me feel like
When you see a dead body, you realize they're gone.
that's it.
There's no life.
Yeah.
Now, whether or not there's a spirit or a consciousness that can float off, I don't believe it. I mean, I believe it's just an impulse that's going on in your brain. But I mean, when I've seen a dead body and they're gone.
Yeah.
That person is gone.
You see the light out.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
So I mean, to think it's somewhere else. I mean, you can believe that it makes you feel better and if it makes you sleep better and think that your family's out there. But to me, they're gone.
But you're just looking at it from like your point of view too, though.
Exactly. But that's
Yeah,
all
like
my.
your point of view, like I think that if we're looking at something as far as like a consciousness, like we can't just speak from our point of view because we don't know what the hell that person is experiencing outside of the body,
Yeah.
right? Like we can look at it and be like, oh, fucking nothing there, but who the hell knows?
That's
Like we
true.
don't know what he's experiencing. We don't know if he went back into the collect, like transcendentalism talks about your soul leaving and joining this big ball of energy until it's ready to be collected and then going somewhere
The big
else.
jar of
There's
souls.
like there's like a whole alien theory that the aliens are using the moon to collect souls and then cleanse them and then take them back to Earth. I mean, there's like a whole thing like that.
Yeah.
Then there's a fucking Scientology that says that like aliens collect the souls and then also brings them back. So there's a bunch of theories, but nobody even fucking knows. Even the Egyptians talk about it. The Egyptians talk about having to go through a trial. The Christians talk about have a judgment day of
Yeah.
it. There's an agnostic text about the sacred book of Peter, the apocalypse of Peter, where Jesus takes them on a journey to hell and they get into this room and everybody's sleeping and then Peter asks Jesus like, why is everybody sleeping? And it's like, because they're waiting for judgment day.
Mm.
And eventually I'm gonna wake everybody up and then we're gonna come back. We're gonna come back to earth. So no matter what, they all seem to be doing the same thing. There's like some kind of soul harvesting somewhere, whether they're being reincarnated like they do in Buddhism, or like there's other levels like Shintoism does the same thing. They also believe in going to like some other kind of plane and stuff like that. So there's more things that talk about like either a harvesting of the soul or the going through a journey after death, being reincarnated. There's more proof of that from what
Well,
these religions say.
don't say proof. That's not proof.
I
it's
mean,
belief.
there's more beliefs
Yeah,
of
That's
that.
true.
more doesn't
Then-
make it right though.
But I mean, you can fucking sit there and like nail your balls to the ground, but it still like doesn't make your point of view right either.
I'm not saying my point of view. I'm
Yeah.
just saying that's my personal
Like
belief.
yeah, like personal belief and personal opinion is also like, I can sit there and throw an egg at the wall and say like I didn't throw the egg, and then you can just be like, okay, well, yeah, I saw you do it. It's like, well, I don't care what you saw. And it's kind of like the same thing that you're doing now. You're kind of saying like, well, just because I don't believe it, I just don't think it exists.
I'm just saying that what they have seen or what they're claiming as evidence, and multiple people have shown that not a lot of it is not based in fact. It's based in belief. And that's fine if people want to believe these things. I don't care. Believe all you want. I'm just saying it's not for me. And until I can see for myself undeniable
But
proof,
why do you have to see for yourself? This is what I'm trying to say.
because why would I trust the word of somebody else that I don't know, that I don't trust, and that they haven't seen for themselves, that they can undeniably prove? Like, why do I just have to be somebody who just believes in something because they tell me it's real? Why can't I just find out for myself?
I mean, you can, but by then it might be too late.
Okay, I'm willing to take that. Like, why am I going to follow the rules of somebody who already knows I'm going to do something wrong, and then is willing to let me do what's wrong, and then punish me for it?
Exactly, that's religion as a whole.
Yeah, to me that's fucked up.
Every religion as a whole.
Yeah, so I just don't think it's right.
I think there's a place for religion, but I think it's also one of those things where you kind of have to like take it for yourself and get the lessons from, like, use that as a scaffold, as a guideline and stuff like that. I think if you use it too much and follow it too much of a T, I think that could be just as bad as not having anything, no religion at all. I mean, my dad's religious, and so I was exposed to it when I was young, so I know what it feels like to be around the church and stuff like that. And I don't think it's a bad thing. But I also think you also had to be at the point where you also have to like make common sense and see things for yourself, believe things for yourself. And just because they say you should do this, should I? What works out for me? And that's why I feel when it comes to religion, I think it has a positive and negatives, but I feel like it's at the end, you should be using it like as a scaffolding, as a guidelines. Because if you follow too much, I think that could just be just as bad as not having anything at all. That's my personal.
I think it's fine as a tool. like for those who don't know and they're misguided in life, they just want something to believe in.
Yeah, I mean, there's just some basic rules like don't kill people, don't steal, just be a good person, treat others like you want to be treated. That's kind of like universal, you know.
Well, it sounds like that, but not everybody's born with those.
No, and you're right, and you're right. It's gonna be a per person basis,
Yeah.
because your experiences are gonna be different from
Right.
mine, are gonna be different from Shane's, but
Like to us, who I would consider rational people, me telling you not to steal something is like, hey, come over to the house. I don't have to sit here and remind you not to fucking steal anything from me, right?
yeah, like, man, come on over. By the way, don't steal shit, please.
Come over, yeah.
I kind of work hard.
Hey, don't kill my wife, by the way.
Yeah.
Like, please, keep it to yourself. So, like, I don't have to tell you that, right? But maybe there is some people.
There's some people that do need it. Yeah, that do need that guidance.
Be
Yeah.
like, hey, man, you mind putting, that pack of beer down or whatever?
Just
Yeah.
in your fridge.
Just like,
Can you not steal that, please? I'm
Thanks
trying to
for
save that.
T-bone steaks,
yeah, thanks
Vic.
for the T-bones. I'm gonna take
Yeah.
the 6-pack down.
Guys, we're at 3 hours.
All right.
I think we're good.
Sure.
I appreciate it. Had a blast.
Yeah, it's fun.
Do it again?
Yeah, whatever.
Somewhere down the road, we'll do
Yeah.
it again. Okay. All right, guys. Thank you very much. I appreciate. You're not even.
I'm
wait,
not
you're
even.
Yeah,
You're not even.
Yeah,
All right, guys. We'll see you later. Appreciate
All right.
it. We gotta be.
So.